That's $10,000, Connor. Ha ha! Yeah! 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 This show is not for sharpshooters. This show is a fucking machine gun. There's no chewy center to this show. It's all hard candy. This show is not a sniper on a fucking roof. This show is a drone taking out a village. Do not invite me into your house because I will come in and I will wreak fucking havoc. Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-Year-Old Boy Podcast. Excuse me, I think I need to rephrase that. I think we need to put something in there. I think there's a phrase that needs to get inserted into this new opening that I'm going to create right now for your very ears. Right through your iPod vaginas, through your tweakedaudio.com/40 earbuds, right into your fucking medulla oblongata. I'm not sure if that's where my show goes. Where do you store it? Where do you store my show? In your cerebral cortex? I don't know. Somewhere in that fucking crazy cauliflower brain of yours, you've got me stored in there, and this is right where it's going to go. I think I need to put this into the intro. I need to start changing it. I need to go and call it this. Hey, what's happening? Gay icon Mike Schmidt, 40-Year-Old Boy Podcast. Because it's come to my attention, folks, that I am now a gay icon. If by gay icon you mean guy that gay people are pursuing and want to possibly bed. Because that's me now, folks. I don't know if I'm putting out a vibe that way. I don't know if I've just got the proper equipment. I have no idea. And I'm close by and available when they find themselves in some sort of weird need. I don't know if that's the word I want to use. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But I've had two incidents of that happening, and well, one of them is tenuous. All right, let's go ahead and describe this. I work at the Monday Night Tease, which is I want to remind you folks about that. I'll do it later. It's a burlesque show here in Los Angeles. Fantastic. It's amazing. I happen to know the people who run it, and they're fucking wonderful people. But they have staff, of course, involved there, and there's a bartender named Chris who works there, and then there's his girlfriend who's a waitress, and her name is, do we say her real name, or do we use her name is Vixen. All right. Vixen made an appearance in this show 4 years ago, probably, in the show A Tiny Hat and a Mouthful of Fish Hooks. Go by year two. Well, that was my favorite thing. That's one of my favorite things I ever said live. I'll tell you that again real quick. It was the Muppet Show of burlesque. Okay, and Lily had cast me as one of the Muppets in the fucking balcony who made fun of everything, and it was me and her ex-husband David, and so we got to be like Statler and Waldorf and make fun of the show as it went along. So we were kind of hosting from like a booth up in the top. It was an interesting idea. I'm not sure it was executed properly by me and David, but it still went really well. It did okay, and so Vixen comes out and she did her Dr. Teeth dance. Or Dr. Gonzo dance, or whatever it was, Dr. Teeth. Because I remember that I still have the song, actually, because I actually enjoyed that little mix that she had. And she did her thing, and she came out, and she had a little baby hat on, and she's got a pierced face. Like, literally, she looks like she stumbled and tripped and fell into a tackle box. I mean, it's just fucking crazy. Yeah, she does. Don't fucking lie. Her face looks like Rob Halford's belt. I mean, it's just fucking crazy studs and metal. By the way, if you are not still laughing at Rob Halford's belt, I don't know what to do. Turn the show off because it's not going to get funnier or better than that in the moment. Her face looks like Rob Halford's belt. I love me. So it's just, I mean, she would never get through. No wonder she doesn't fly, because she would never get on the plane because they got to wander face at all times. It's just crazy. It's a weird, I mean, literally, Metalhead she took it literally. And it just looks like somebody blasted her in the face with a rivet gun. I mean, it's a ton of stuff. So she came on stage, she did her dance, and then David said something that was no doubt brilliant and funny and made everybody laugh. And then I ruined it by saying, there's nothing that gets me harder than a tiny hat and a mouthful of fish hooks, or whatever it was I said. Go back and listen to the show. I'll explain it. But I was so proud of saying that in the moment. All right. So Vixen, our friend, tiny hat and a mouthful of fish hooks, she sometimes works at the club as a waitress. And she'll come in and dress in a really skimpy outfit and then go around and offer people shots. And they say, I don't understand you. Your face is jangling like spurs. Why are you offering me stuff? Whenever she goes to talk, it sounds like two gunfighters are striding out to shoot each other. Jesus Christ. Holy God. Whenever she tries to talk to me, all I can hear are the chains of Jacob Marley, and I think the ghost of Christmas past has arrived. That's a face full of metal, folks. Come on. I'm going to think of more of these in the moment and make myself laugh. All right. But Vixen is awesome. I'm a huge fan. Although she bamboozled me this week, she put a little switcheroo on me this week, and I wasn't a fan of it. I don't know what it was. She was adjusting her boobs or something, and then she said, "You want me to flash you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm in." And she goes, "Chris, I'm gonna flash Mike," and he goes, "I don't care, go ahead, but make sure he pays." And I said, "I got $4. What's that get me?" And she pulled her shirt down and flashed like her bra. And I looked at her and I just took the money and I tucked it right back into my wallet. Chunk, put it away. She's like, "I should have worn my flesh-colored bra." And I go, "I'm done talking to you." Because really all I heard was clank, 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 clank. She talks, it sounds like a robot fight. Sounds like the guys from Daft Punk having a conversation. So she was there and she did her thing and she's waiting on tables and helping people out. So at the end of the show, she said, she told me I was cute. I don't know how that came up. Something came up. And she goes, "You know what? I can ask you a favor." I said, "All right." She said, "I have a friend and he's really into bears. And I want to take a picture of me with you and make him jealous." I'm like, "What? Seriously?" And she's like, "Yeah." She goes, "Because I'm always on him to come out to the show or come out and hang out, and he never does. And so I want to send him this photo of you, and just be like, see what you missed at the club tonight." I'm like, "Well, he knows I'm not stripping in the show, right? He's aware of that." She goes, "It doesn't matter. Just the very fact that you were here and he didn't get to like look at you." And I'm like, "Fuck, I'm in. Let's do this." I don't care. It's been a while. I said the same thing to Eddie this week because there was some fucking hot girl at the club and she was wearing shorts and she was like this. Oh, she was really cute. And she went to walk by me and I said, "How are you?" And she stopped and she fucking made eye contact and she's like, "I'm good. How are you?" And she walked out and I was like, "Dude." And Eddie goes, "That's a guy." I go, "I don't care." I said, "It's been a while, man. I'll work with half of that." And I regretted saying that a little later in the evening, but maybe I'll get to that a little later. I don't know. I don't know if I can bring it up to you folks. So Vixen takes me and we go on the stage and I just I took a normal picture and she goes and it was so funny. She goes to take my photo and I go, "You have to be on my right hand side." She's like, "What?" And I go, "It's a long story. You just had because people know that they're supposed to be on my right hand side. That's just the thing." And people who listen to this show know, but people who don't have no fucking clue. So then when I make them get on the right hand side, they look at me like I'm insane. You know what's funny? I cannot wait to get on Wheel of Fortune because when I'm in the final puzzle round, everybody stands on Pat's right, and I'm going to ask him if he will switch. "Pat, do me a favor. Can you stand on my right hand side for luck? It would help." He's gonna go, "No, I can't," and then he's going to kick me off. But every night I watch it, and every night I dream of the fact that I'm going to go, "Hey, do me a favor, switch with me." He's going to go, "What?" "Pat, everybody's on my right." Everybody knows that. No, they don't. Nobody knows that. But Pat will know. Because he always makes a big thing where he walks to people over and he goes, "Okay, that blue mark is yours." And I'm going to go, "Pat, tonight that blue mark is yours, friend. You have to be on my right, please." All right, so Vixen took photos of me. She took these photos and presumably texted them to some gay man in Hollywood somewhere who right now is furiously jerking off to me. Oh, he is. There's no doubt that he is because I looked great. I always look great. I'm a good-looking fella. Oh, man. You don't believe me? Just ask the woman with the bike chain hanging from her face. Oh, Christ. Still, but she's cute. She's real cute. She happens to look like Iron Man, but other than that, she's fine. What? I'm not wrong here. Hey, if you make that choice, be prepared to be judged a little bit, just a tiny bit.
I know. It's hard. She's my friend.
Well, she's my friend too. Funny. And she's funny and cute and she's awesome, but Jesus Christ, are you kidding me? All right. So, folks, so that's happening right now. There's some guy spanking it to me in Hollywood somewhere. And let's be honest, I should say plural. There's guys all over Hollywood spanking it to me. Because it's gay icon Mike Schmidt from the 40-Year-Old Boy Podcast, everybody. And I know you're thinking to yourselves out there as you discuss this in listener land, you're like, I'm sorry. One story does not a gay icon make. One anecdote does not a gay icon make. Just because someone's taking photos of you and texting them off, just because a girl whose head is filled with fucking iron is taking photos of you, that doesn't mean anything, for fuck's sake. Well, aha. I see what you're saying there. But I have a second. I'm sorry, we're doing a show, but feel free to jump in with, oh shit, what's wrong? Are you okay? It's okay.
Uh,
What are you doing?
this.
What, did I do something? What are you doing? Hold on.
No, something just came across my news feed.
All right, look, hold on. Unless it's about me, I don't know if this is the proper time to talk about it. And also, I'll say this. How bored are you with this show that you're reading your news feed, for fuck's sake?
No, I always keep a news ticker up that tells me what's going on around the world because, if a plane crashes in Los Angeles, we don't want to be sitting here going,
Being funny.
Something just came up that I...
Did a plane crash in Los Angeles?
No.
All right, well, don't make me. What happened?
James Gandolfini died. And I know you're a fan. And I probably shouldn't have told you that while you're in the middle of a podcast.
All right, is he Twitter dead or really dead?
He's deadline dead. And
What the fuck does that even mean?
Deadline.com, which is...
Deadline Hollywood?
Yeah, Deadline Hollywood.
Oh.
They're a pretty reputable source.
Yeah.
And
Did they say how? Was it the plane crash you mentioned in Los Angeles?
TMZ is also reporting it.
So it's real. So this really happened. Oh, dude.
It looks like a heart attack in Italy. That's not a lot of information. He was in Italy, and it looks like he had a heart attack. That's what they're saying. That's about all that's there. Again, it could be wrong, but that's two pretty reputable sources. And again, I'm sorry. I know you're a fan, and that's going to depress you, I think, or upset you, or
I'm
that in the middle of your story.
No, it's fine. I'm a grown man, but I just oh man.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you're right, because I want to know stuff when it happens. I mean, you're that's what I would do. It's it's funny when
There's no other news. That's it.
well, there doesn't have to be any more news unless he took 40 people with him.
He killed 40 people with
Yeah.
a attack. You're awesome.
You'd think they would lead with that probably.
Oh man.
No, I want to know stuff like that. When 9/11 happened, I'm not sure what was the date on that. No, the morning of, I was asleep, and Karen woke me up, and she's like, "You need to get up," because again, I'd been up till like fucking 6 a.m. and she wakes me up. She's like, "You got to get up." And I said, "Why are you home from work?" And she said, "A plane crashed into the World Trade Center." And I'm like, "What?" So I got up, and thankfully just started putting in videotapes. I don't know why, thankfully. I have all of that. If anybody wants to review it, I literally taped for 2 days straight. Like, I think I have 15 videotapes of fucking, nothing but 9/11 coverage. But yeah, so I kind of want to know. Like, if she would have let me sleep, I would have been furious. So if you would have let me continue to talk about my gay iconness without telling me this, I would have been very upset. But now I don't even want to do this. I know that sounds stupid. And it's it wasn't my friend or anything, but when you spend every weekend for 5 years or whatever it was with him, you think he's your friend, or not even your friend, just someone you admire. And he was so good. And he was in he was just in Killing Them Softly last year and was fucking brilliant. I talked about that on here. He was so great. And he didn't look good. He looked like someone who might be about to have a heart attack, I'll tell you that. God damn it.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, that's not cool. All right, well, this is stupid. I'm going to take a break. How stupid is that? How long? I don't even know how long we've been talking.
About 15.
Yeah? Why couldn't he have waited 2 hours?
Well,
Or an hour. It's I've been a huge fan ever since he's in True Romance,
Mm-hmm.
which is an amazing movie. Anyway, and it's so funny. People they love the scene with Dennis Hopper and Christopher Walken, which is amazing. There's no doubt. And it is clearly the definitive scene of that film. But the scene where he beats up Patricia Arquette at the end is just because Tony Scott directed a Quentin Tarantino script, and the dialogue sings like Tarantino. Uh, it's it's the truest adaptation because Oliver Stone did Natural Born Killers, which did no justice to what Tarantino wrote. Really, um, he still went in and fucking vomited Oliver Stone all over it, which is fine. But Tony Scott at least kind of remained true to what Tarantino does. And even at the time, we didn't even know what Tarantino does unless you saw Dogs and stuff. Uh, but the scene where he fucking beats up Patricia Arquette, which actually on the uncut DVD is actually longer than it is in the film, and it is so brutal. But he has a speech. Gandolfini has a speech in that scene, and because it's my favorite part of the movie, and it's so funny when you tell people that sort of thing, they go, "Really? Your favorite scene is when Gandolfini beats the shit out of Patricia Arquette, and she's almost dead, she's bloody, and because he does this the first time he punches her, he makes this weird face, like this I'm a bad little boy face, and it's so crazy, and then he just knocks the shit out of her all over the fucking hotel room, and then she rallies, like she takes a corkscrew, he's about to shoot her because he finds the coke and he finds it under the bed. And he gives this speech, and in it where he's talking about killing people and how difficult it is, and he actually threw up finally when he killed somebody, and then he says, now I just do it to watch their fucking expression change, and you can just see he's a soul that's gone. He's a soldier, and that's all he is. And it's that moment though where he reveals himself to where you go, oh, he's not just a henchman. He's not someone who because he also cuts Hopper's palm open, and he does what he's told, and he's there to do what he's told, and he kind of pulls back a little bit and shows you that he's not happy with doing what he's told, but he's accepted that that's his lot in life, and it's really great to watch because it shows you that he's not just this fucking mook. And it really shows what Gandolfini can do as an actor. I almost imagine them, when he ran it or when he did the scene, people looking around and going, "Oh, yeah, he's not just the big guy in the suit. He's got what it takes. I mean, he can make you feel something." And in that scene, he makes you feel that you hate him because he's beating up Patricia Arquette. He's a fucking terrible guy. But then when he gives that speech, you see it's almost that. It's almost like an American Nazi point of view. It's like, I was following orders. This is kind of what I have to do. And now I've lost my soul because of it, but this is who I am and this is what I have to do. And then he brightens up when he finds the coke under the bed, and then he's going to kill her. And she drives the corkscrew into his foot. Spoiler alert. And it's so funny when I first saw that scene, he tears open his shirt and the buttons go flying off of his shirt. And he didn't even, with no real effort, he just had those big fucking massive gorilla hands, and he flips the shirt open and you just hear, and you see the buttons fly off. And he looks at her and he's like, all right, go ahead, stick it in me. You want it? Because again, it shows you even another side of him, because where he was a malicious fucking sadist, and then he reveals behind the curtain, well, you know what? This is kind of who I am, and unfortunately, I'm not happy about it, but I've accepted it. And then when he's about to kill her and she pulls up the corkscrew, he's like, oh yeah, jam it in me. Let's fucking go. Because he really wants to beat her up some more, basically, is what he wants to do. He's a fucking terrible guy. Conflicted, but terrible. And then she takes the corkscrew and jams it in his foot and then smashes him with the statue. And in any other movie, corkscrew in the foot, statue over the head, girl runs outside and gets help. Yay! In this movie, corkscrew in the foot, Elvis statue over the head, and he falls down and he looks up at her. I don't think he falls down. She hits him with the statue and he fucking does like a slow burn and looks back at her. And he just goes, all right, no more Mr. fucking nice guy. And she just goes, oh God. Like it's this amazing fucking moment because she's fucked. She's fucked. Like any other movie, she gets away. That's the scene where, yay, the heroine made the amazing thing. You never thought that she would do that. But he does this fucking look at her and he makes this face and he goes, all right, no more Mr. fucking nice guy. And you hear her say, oh God, as it cuts to another scene, and it's just fucking great. So great. Such a great moment. And then Sopranos, good lord. Because again, when you saw him in True Romance, you were like, well, that guy can be something more. And then he's in a bunch of stuff. You know, you see him he's in Get Shorty. He does a
Yeah.
great job. He's in The Man Who Wasn't There, which is a Coen Brothers movie. And he's so good in it because, and it was so funny. Once you started to see him in The Sopranos, that's how you wanted to buttonhole him or pigeonhole him. You're like, that's him. That's who he is. He can't be anybody else. He's that mobster guy. And that's why he would take roles where he didn't have to use that accent, or he could speak like himself. Oh fuck! You know what? I'm skipping ahead. True Romance. He's the guy who confronts Brad Pitt when Brad Pitt's on the couch getting high, smoking with the honey bear, smoking the fucking pot out of the honey bear. And he says, hey, and it's such a light touch in the scene. Where he's like, hey, yeah, well, you know, wherever they are, maybe we'll come back. We'll talk sometime. And he's like, all right. And that's when Brad Pitt says, you condescend to me, man. I'll fucking kill you, man. True Romance, go watch it. I want to see it now. Like, I just want to, you know what? The rest of this podcast, let's just do the audio from fucking True Romance.
No.
Let's just play that. You can edit it in, right? I'll fucking take off because and this is gonna sound stupid, and I'm gonna make this about me because why not? Now what I'm doing seems trivial and stupid. It's just I'm just talking. Where he actually had craft and he was able to do the things that he did and gave them life. And because The Sopranos that's art. The Sopranos is for me probably my favorite television series of all time. You know, people talk Mad Men and The Wire. I hear The Wire is the best, and I have The Wire. I got it for Christmas 2 years ago. I got the entire DVD set of The Wire, and it's still in the cellophane. I have not cracked it open, but I'll get to that in a second. But for me, The Sopranos, I mean, it's eminently rewatchable, and everything he does, because Silvio and Paulie and everybody around him does their thing, but he's the anchor, he's the star. And there's so many. All the scenes with Melfi are so good. My favorite, I'm not going to do it justice trying to pull it off the top of my head, but the scene that for me is the most memorable in Sopranos is Bobby from the family, who's played by Steve Sharippa, has started dating Janice, who's Tony's sister. And Tony hates his sister. They don't get along. Tony hates everybody. I mean, he's a fucking misfit. Well, Janice is as volatile as Tony, but she's pretending not to be. Like, she now wants to be domesticated. So she's with Bobby, and she's helping to raise the kids, and she's cooking, and she's acting like a good housewife. And it makes Tony sick because he fucking knows her, and he knows who she is. So she invites him to dinner. And the kids are there. She's cooked. And Bobby's sitting there, and it's their dinner table. And Tony sits down, and the entire scene is such a work of art because he can't stop looking at Janice. And he has such contempt for her and such hate. And he knows that she's a phony. So he just pushes her fucking buttons the entire meal. Like, he won't stop. He's just an asshole. He's himself. And he's trying to bring back the dynamic they've always had in their lives. And he's just being nakedly contemptuous of her in her new environment. And she's trying to let it pass, and she's trying to let it pass, and he continues to goad her, and he continues to goad her until finally he gets her to snap and pull a fucking steak knife on him. And he stands up, and Bobby tries to calm her down, and the kids and everybody's there, and he stands up and he's just smiling. He's just smiling because he won. That's exactly what he wanted. He jumps back, and they're yelling, and then he's grinning, that fucking Tony Soprano grin in her face, and she's losing her mind, and she's freaking out, and she's yelling and screaming, and he turns around and he laughs, and he just walks out of the house. And it is also my favorite ending of a Sopranos episode, because as he walks out, David Chase, the music he uses is a song called I'm Not Like Everybody Else by the Kinks. And the studio version is okay, but he uses a live version of it. And it's a song that always has reverberated with me because the lyrics are, I'm not like everybody else. I don't want to get a job like everybody else. And I don't want to be destroyed like everybody else. And I've always taken that song to heart because I always felt like I wasn't like everybody else. And who cares? You don't care. Nobody cares. But to the point where I actually used that song in the One Man for a while before I trimmed it. But that song was very prominent in the One Man Show because the lyrics, I mean, it absolutely spoke to who I was and what I wanted to be. And And so in that scene when he walks out of the house and the music starts and he walks and then he just walks down the sidewalk. He doesn't and he doesn't, you know what, he struts. He basically does this Tony Soprano like walk, and you can just see he's the fucking bull of the yard. And he walks down the block. It's so amazing to watch him convey that. I need to stop using the word amazing. I need to buy a fucking thesaurus is what I need to do. Wow. And then, you know, he went off and he made In the Loop. In the Loop, he was great. But Killing Them Softly, he was so good in. If you haven't seen it, see it. Because, again, I still think that's a masterpiece. It's a total downer. It's totally sad. It's another one of those movies where you're like, dude, you have to see this. It's great. And then people say it and they go, what the fuck? That's, like, horrible. It's so sad and brutal. And I go, yeah, that's great, right? That's storytelling. I mean, if you want to watch Superman fly around, good for you. I'm finding that I'm not that guy anymore, and I can't talk about it. I did the fucking Comedy Film Nerds podcast. If you want to hear what I thought about Superman, go listen to that because I don't want to spoil it for people. But there will be a spoiler episode of that coming out later this week. I'll plug that later in the show. I'll tell you about it. But fuck, I don't even know. You know, it's funny. The Velvet Rope show that we do, we have here. I don't, you know, I don't do voices. I do me. So I'll let you in a little secret here, folks. The Velvet Rope podcast that's on the Mike Schmidt Podcasting Network. I'm one of those guys. And that was my attempt at doing a Tony Soprano accent. There's actually one... Whenever I would do it, because I was always worried I was overdoing it, because I sound cartoonish and silly and bad. But I couldn't do him, but I could kind of talk like a Chicago meathead, you know what I mean, like that. Yeah. And I could force it. And now I'm going to force it on you. You can go ahead and be the judge, because I got to go make sure that this is real and not he's not Twitter dead. I need to find out, because what if he? Because I'll be honest with you, if he's still alive, forget everything I just said. I mean, it's still true. But I didn't mean to belabor the point and drown you in it right now. But I mean, he's just, he was really important to me, and I'm disappointed. And so I need to go see if this is, I mean, I'm hoping it's not. I hope this is all phony internet nonsense. Actually, that was going to be the name of this podcast before the 40-year-old boy was phony internet nonsense. But I figured I would just do it in practice rather than give you the actual right over the head with it with the title. So I'm going to go find out if this is real, and you can be the judge of whether I'm a cartoony idiot or not.
You're listening to The 40-Year-Old Boy, and coming up, The Velvet Rope. Let bouncers Big James and Chewy make you think twice about going to a nightclub ever again.
Did you work Friday?
No, got suspended.
What?
Yeah, the other day, last week I had to work.
Yeah?
This fucking guy spits a drink right in my face.
You fucking kidding me?
I said, I tell him, I go, do it again. Do it one more fucking time. Try it again. So he does it again. You know what I do?
You did it again?
You know what I do?
What? I know what you fucking did. I know you.
Grabbed him by the balls.
Ball sack. Yeah, you did, didn't you?
And I picked him up over my head like a fucking cowboy. Swinging him around like a lasso, like I'm going to rope a bull or some shit.
Yeah.
And then, you know what happens?
What happens?
Fucking nuts come off in my hand. The guy goes flying across the street.
You're fucking kidding me. You're holding his nuts. They fucking come off?
So he's going to file some kind of thing.
Yeah.
But so they had to put me off.
Where's his balls?
You want to see him?
Hot ladies always get in free. The Velvet Rope on the Mike Schmidt Podcasting Network.
Fucking guy.
Fuck, it's real. That's a drag, man. He's just he wasn't the first anti-hero on television, but he for me certainly the best. I mean, he showed you that it was okay to root for a bad guy. Even though he was a bad guy, he was a terrible guy. And Tony Soprano was a terrible person, but Jesus Christ, I couldn't stop watching it. All right, and rooting for him. I rooted for him the entire time. I completely rooted for him. That was what I wanted. I wanted him to murder people and do terrible things and be mean to everybody. It was funny. Maybe that's just more about me than it does about Tony. I have no idea. By the way, Tony's not a real guy. All right, so. Well, it's fitting then that we were talking about me being a gay icon, because I'm obviously, I have a huge crush on James Gandolfini, which will now go unrequited, unfortunately. But it seems so stupid to even just leap back into this. We should. Are you sure we can't just put on the True Romance and just play the entire film? People would love it. You know what? That's here's the thing. I'm going to give you my Sopranos DVDs, and you just start editing. Just start cutting snippets and putting them in here, and we'll just call it that. We'll just make that the show. Yes? No? This is your fault.
I know, and I apologize for that.
That's fine. But look, James Gandolfini was an actor, and even he would tell you that the show must go on. And then he would fucking run away because he didn't want to talk to you any longer. That was the whole thing. Was he was not a guy who enjoyed being famous. Whenever you would see him, and people would talk to him and say stuff, and he'd be like, "Why are you talking to me? I don't understand this." Well, because you're famous. So that's why I guess I'm glad I didn't meet him, because I would have just bothered the shit out of him, just fucking hovering. Came close to meeting him. I was in the same room as him once. I told that story on here, right? When I worked in New York and stumbled into the set of The Sopranos. Yeah. By year 3. Year 2? Possibly year 2. By year 1. Buy them all. Buy them all and find it. Scavenger hunt. That's what I'm doing. And, hey, did I offer a prize last week for anybody who knew what a Han Solo was?
Yeah.
What was the prize I offered? It was Bridgetown or... Yeah, okay. Because 3 people knew. And they wrote me. I think Trey and David, and there was another person as well. I don't want to say now. People need to buy the past sets and figure it out. No, it was my idea, like first year. Oh, really? Oh, please. I'm trying to make some money here. And you're like, oh, please. Nobody gives a shit about your nonsense or buying it.
Everybody gives a shit.
No, they don't. That's fine. I get it.
Everybody shit.
Oh, stop.
No, wait. Everybody cares. So what was it?
It was when I decided... It was when I was deciding to make things happen. It was so funny. One of the people who wrote me was like, you have no idea how hard I've tried to get people to say this, but they don't. There's an unfortunate term that people use when they talk about ladies. And they'll say camel toe, which I've always hated. I'm not a fan of that. I don't like the imagery. The vagina is far too lovely to be pigeonholed in such a way. Really? Really? On the day of James Gandolfini's death, you will find humor in that. Horrified. So I'm not a fan of the term camel toe, but I said there was no version for men, because people would say male camel toe.
Yes.
And, when you can visibly see a guy's cock, like in his jeans. And I said it should be a Han Solo. Because when Han Solo is trapped and frozen in carbonite, he's like frozen and it's all bumpy and stuff. And so I said, there you go. You could say a guy's got a Han Solo. And I was like, what does that mean? It's like, well, you can see his cock. It's like it's frozen in carbonite. See? Now are you upset that you didn't buy the past seasons and go on a treasure hunt? I made it too easy for you folks. I just missed my mouth with a bottle of water.
I saw that.
That was brutal. It's like all over my shirt. I went to drink it, and it just, you know why? Because I was self-conscious about drinking on the air. So I turned my head to the side, but because my throat was getting all fucked up. And I turned my head, but the bottle went to where my head was. Like I'm talking in the microphone, and I raised the bottle to the microphone, but I turned my head to the left, and I poured water down the front of my fucking shirt.
You airplaned it. I have a drinking problem. I'm doing.
Good God.
That's awesome.
I didn't want to drink on the air.
Oh my God.
My throat's all fried. All right. So where were we before we were interrupted by the death of a great American artist and someone who I admired very deeply?
Gay icon.
That's true.
I knew where we left off.
Folks, earlier in the show, I told you about me being texted throughout the air to gay people all over the metropolis of Hollywood so they could take matters into their own hands, so to speak. I'm sure right now I'm on the wall of the Abbey. I'm sure there's a bunch of dudes having a circle jerk right now over there at Trunks as they stare at me, and they're wondering why I'm standing next to a little R2-D2 with a bra on. Because she's got a metal face. All right. So, I pulled up outside of Lily's house, and I should tell you, all right, this is again, remember, here's the thing. This didn't happen right now. This happened last night. And I know you're wondering, why were you at Lily's house last night? I'll have to get to that in a minute. But this happened last night. It did not happen today. Because let me put it this way. If this would have happened right when I pulled up today, it's the first thing I would have told you about. But I pulled up last night, and I was outside of Lily's building, the oldest building in Hollywood. And I stepped out of my car, and there were 2 people on Lily's steps. sitting on the steps like the Rolling Stones. They were waiting on a friend. Only these two were waiting on gay icon Mike Schmidt. One of them was a transgendered fella, ma'am, lady. I don't know. I don't want to ascribe a gender. It was a transgender, so it doesn't matter.
Kind of specific. Just
Well,
say person of unknown gender.
okay, who happened to be wearing ladies' clothing,
Okay.
but may be able to use the men's restroom.
Okay.
I think it's a pre-op is the word I'm looking for. Perhaps it was a pre-op. Might have just been a cross-dresser. Could have been Jamie Gum. I have no fucking idea who it was. It was somebody in a dress who may or may not have had a cock. Let's go ahead and throw it out there. That's not mean.
No.
That's just stating a fact. And there's a word used in that community, passable. The only way I would use the word passable in respect to this person would be if someone were to say, how would you view them on the street? And I would say passable. As in, I would not stop to chat. Because I'm waiting for the transgender to fool me. As I've mentioned, folks, I am at the fence waiting to jump it. I don't care. Things have gotten scrambled for me at this point, so who knows what's going to happen in the future.
Oh man.
But I can tell you that this person could have been on the other side of the fence, and I would have maybe talked to them like the neighbor in Home Improvement, but they wouldn't have been able to stick anything through a knothole that would have gotten my attention. Okay? Okay. So well, they were there, as I use the royal they, and that person was with another friend who I think enjoyed dressing up in ladies' clothing, but had taken the night off. And was in their man costume. But their hair and their features and their nails spoke that maybe they enjoyed wearing a dress every now and then and having accoutrement to go with it. So I got out of my car, and my hair was slicked back, as it often is. But it's getting longer. So, it slicks back, and it goes to the back where it's kind of got a little flip. My hair unfortunately gets a little curly at the end. So I got out of my car, and I opened my little hatchback there, which does not sound good at all for the transgenders. Hold on a second. Let me clarify. I opened the back door of the Murano. There was no other hatchback getting opened for the transgender people. So I get out of the car, and I will tell you that the person who was involved in dress wearing, the person not in a man costume, actually whistled at me. But not like that, but like hubba, check that out, which was weird. And it might look, as a gay icon, I may be ascribing that reaction to me because I was the only other person on the street other than their friend. And I know that I whistled at their friend because I saw their friend. But because I came around and I opened up the Murano, and then they went, and which kind of got my attention. And I had to come up to the door of Lily's building, so I had to walk past them. And so I did, and I said hello. And his eyes followed me up the stairs, and I dealt with what I had to deal with at the door, and I walked down the stairs, and I went to close the hatchback, which is a clear message to them that I'm not interested. I closed the hatchback, and the person in a man costume said, "I really like your ponytail." And I said, are you talking to me? And they said, "Yes, I love what you've done with your hair. It looks good back like that, and I like that you have the ponytail. It's long, and it keeps it out of your eyes." And I said, "Oh, well, thanks. I appreciate it." And they said, "Because we definitely want to see your eyes." And I said, "Oh, okay." And he goes, "I was just telling my friend here, because I like your hair and I'd like to wear my hair like that. But I just, I don't feel so good right now, but I just want to make sure that I'm still fuckable." Am I still fuckable?
No. This did not happen.
Yeah, it did. Oh, yeah, it did. And it threw me for a second, and I looked, and I'm kind of doing my stuff. And the thing is, you're put on the spot at that point, because you can't just go, "No, you're absolutely not fuckable." But you also can't go, yes, of course you are. Because then the hatchback is open again and everybody loses their minds in the street. And so I said, excuse me? And he goes, I just want to make sure I'm doable. Do you think that I'm doable? And he flips his hair with his hand. And I said, oh, you look sharp. Because I don't know any other way out of it. I can't say, no, you're not fuckable, or I'm sorry, I don't go that way, or I'm not yet. I mean, I don't know what to say. Your friends, at least in a dress, they've made half the effort. And it was so funny. The person in the dress was hiding their face behind, like, they had like a towel. Like they were holding it up and peeking at me over the towel. As if they wanted to be like, and they weren't doing that when I walked past them and when they whistled. But then when he was talking about being fuckable and doable, because I think he was giggling and he thought it was cute or fun that his friend was engaging me in a conversation. And so I just looked at him and I go, oh, you look sharp. And he goes, really? He goes, you think I'm doable? And I said, you look clean and sharp. And I just got in my car and drove away. And he waved as I turned around and bailed. And what was funny is I was so flustered that I was supposed to continue out around the complex. But I turned the car around and went back toward the Magic Castle. And there was a show at the Hollywood Bowl, so the traffic was death. But I wasn't going that way anyway. But that's usually the way I would leave your house anyway. And so I was all freaked out because the guy's waving at me. So I had to turn around and come back. So I drive away and I turn the radio on, and then I go, oh. So I turn around and I double back toward your house, and I'm not joking. As I approach, the two of them leap off of the step and walk out to the street as if I were coming to talk to them again. And I went, and the one of them he got like he was going to be in front of my car, and I swerved to like not hit him, and I wasn't stopping. And he's waving, the guy in the man costume is waving, and the person in the dress is waving the handkerchief like they were on the bow of the Titanic. Near, far, get out of your car. So, and that did not happen. I drove slowly, and I waved. And I just, and I actually said out loud, like mouthed it. I'm like, clean and sharp. And I kept driving. So now if I ever see them again, that's who they are. That's clean and sharp. If they're smart, they will bill themselves as that from now on. Hi, I'm clean and he's sharp. Unless he doesn't have the man costume on, then they'll just be clean and sharp. You won't say he's sharp. Because I'm trying to be respectful. I don't know what transgender people wish me to address them as. If it's a man who's a cross-dresser, he's still a man, but he's in a lady costume, right? But if it's someone who identifies as another gender, then it's proper to call them Miss or Ma'am. Yes, okay. But again, I didn't get that deep into conversation with them, so I don't know.
I wish you had.
Fuck, it could have just been laundry day. I mean, that guy could have been a dude in a dress because that's all that was clean. They could be straight dudes. I got no idea. They could have had a plan. Hey, the first guy who shows up here, let's talk to him about being fuckable and doable, huh? That's actually who they were before they were clean and sharp. They were fuckable and doable. When they play the blue clubs, they're fuckable and doable. But when they do children's shows, they're clean and sharp. Good for them. So waving the handkerchief. Whoo, wee-hoo. And that made me think of an old SCTV sketch. There was this SCTV sketch where Toulouse-Lautrec, I think Eugene Levy was Toulouse-Lautrec, and fucking and Harold Ramis would make fun of him because I have long legs, Toulouse, because Toulouse-Lautrec was really short. And Dave Thomas and I think it was Joe Flaherty they were these gay guys who would taunt Toulouse-Lautrec, and they would wave handkerchiefs and they go hoo Toulouse hoo. And so I thought of that dude when he was like flailing his fucking handkerchief at me, or dude or lady or person in dress. It's like, Japanese horror movies, they say man in suit. Godzilla, those movies are man in suit. This was person in dress. You can be a man, you can be a lady, whatever you want me to be, whatever you want me to call you, whatever you want to be is fine with me. I don't mind. But we had not gotten that far into it. And so I had to drive past them.
Why were you on my street?
Okay, we'll get to that in a second. But now I'm just telling you this to explain that I'm a gay icon. Now we've got that all squared away, right?
And I know these two. I'm pretty,
Oh, do you really?
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure
I mean, I've been hit on before and all that, and been very smooth about it. No, I haven't. Practically ran away once. Say it again.
Did you say I've been backyard smooth about it?
No, I don't think I was.
What did you say?
Probably said that I was very smooth about it.
Okay, I said backyard smooth, and I'm like, what the fuck?
That was actually that guy's name, the guy in the dress. Person in dress. When they work as a team, they're fuckable and doable or clean and sharp, but when he works solo, he's backyard smooth.
Oh my god.
All right. So that's me, gay icon Mike Schmidt. Tooling all over town. Getting the attention of ladies and men all over the place. Well, not ladies. All right. So, actually, maybe I'll join the team and I'll be backyard smooth. Fuckable, doable, and backyard smooth. How does that not work? Clean and sharp and backyard smooth? We're in. We're going on the road as a trio. I gotta get downstairs and open my hatchback pronto.
Oh my Christ.
I'm going to open my hatchback for you two, and I'm trusting you. What do you say, clean and sharp? We taking this act on the road? I'm backyard smooth. I drive the van. All right. Okay. So I've had it's been a weird week, folks. I've had an odd week.
Why were you at my building?
It's funny you would ask that.
I don't understand this.
It's interesting you would mention that.
I wasn't here. Why were you?
Last week, folks, we all know the financial holocaust is upon us. We know that everything is kind of gone upside down, gone tits up, if you will. So I'm looking for a gig, as you know. I've looked all over. I should tell you this. I had an interview. I had a job interview. Here's where I had a job interview, folks. This is what it's come to. And again, I don't mean this in a mean way. Perhaps you have this job and that's okay for you. It's just not exactly what I wanted to do. But I need a job at this point. And I don't get nearly enough interviews. I've applied for easily, I'm going to say 75 jobs. That's my guess. Maybe even more. And very rarely getting a call, except for the guy who you use search engine. I had to go interview with that dude. But I got to the point now where I have to find a gig, period. And I have a friend who has an inn at grocery stores, so I was going to use his inn. And I was like, look, he's like, just fill out an app and go to these 3 stores and then tell me and I'll call and I'll refer you. And it was really good of him to make that attempt. And I said, thanks. But I was online looking around for places to apply, and I applied at the ArcLight, which is a movie theater chain here in Los Angeles. And I think I've told you about the ArcLight because it is my favorite movie theater chain. They have the Cinerama Dome down in Hollywood. And then they have satellite locations in Pasadena and in the beach cities and in Sherman Oaks and I think in San Diego soon. And it's assigned seating, and they cater to you can become a member there and you get points and you get free tickets to movies, and it's a really to me it's the best atmosphere to see a film. Because, again, you pay a couple of extra bucks, but you get your assigned seat. You don't have to fucking worry about anybody and the fight and the chase. And, hey, I've got 5 coats laid down because this whole row is reserved for me and a bunch of nuns. Fuck you. So I applied online. I just happened to go to the ArcLight website, and it said you can apply for a job online. So I did. And here's the process. You have to fill out, I haven't filled out a job application, like sat down one that you had to actually write out, because I've gone and interviewed and brought my resume for writing gigs and stuff like that, but to actually go to a job, the security job I had on and off for 9 years, and that was just, they knew me, so that was fine. But to actually apply for a job and sit down and have to fill out an application, I didn't like it when I had no previous experience. Well, now they want to know all your previous experience. And the thing is, when you go to a job like that, they're like, well, what have you been doing for the past 5 years? Well, I do a podcast and I go on the road. Me and Clean and Sharp. We're all over the place, playing all over America. You might know me. I'm Backyard Smooth. It says it right there on my app. So I have to fill out the application. which is fine. And I'd prefer to do it online because then you can do it at your pace in your house. And I can type it. I don't have to sit down and write a bunch of nonsense. So I sit down and I'm filling it out, and it gets to the part where they actually say you can upload your resume, and your resume they'll retrofit it right into the spots. So I did that. I uploaded my resume, which seems ridiculous for a movie theater job. And as I'm going through it, I should tell you this: the movie theater, the ArcLight, caters to the learned film goer, if that makes any sense. You know, it's not like an AMC where they're just like, here's your popcorn and go walk through a sticky floor and watch a show. They kind of pretend to be movie snobs. So everybody who works there has their name tag with their favorite movie on it. They encourage you to discuss things with customers and talk about films. They want you to be engaged, and they want you to talk to people and make them want to go there because you're knowledgeable and also do your job. So I recognize that. And also they do this thing before the movies. This is the only thing that I would have on anybody. Before the movie, they send out an usher with a microphone. And the microphone says, hey, thanks a lot for coming to the ArcLight. We want to remind you guys to turn your cell phones off. And also, we're going to present this movie, and here's the running time, and here's who's starring in it. And if you have any problems, let us know. You know, it's just you have to do an actual presentation where you have to speak to people. And then I will tell you this, being in the audience for that is always awkward and strange because you don't know if you're supposed to clap afterwards. Normally when people talk to you with a microphone, you instinctively clap when they're finished. But these guys, all they're doing is telling you to be quiet and watch the movie. So you're, well, good for you, sir. Oh my God, what a great warning from you. Thank you. I mean, it's so silly. But it doesn't stop me from clapping every single time. And not ironically either. I appreciate the performance. You know what? Maybe they hire the three of us. Me, Fuckable, and Duel will go down there. Hey, folks. So I fill out the app, I load up the resume, and as I scroll down, it says there are spots that you have not filled in. So I start to look, and it did retrofit my resume, but there's a spot for every job that you've held, and they want to know what you made at your previous job, your pay rate. And it's mandatory. And I don't understand it, because I will tell you this, as you're going through the process of applying, they ask you a bunch of questions before you even apply. And it says, starting pay at the ArcLight theaters is $8.75 an hour. Are you okay with that? Yes or no? And I would assume it's like a choose your own adventure, where if you choose no, you're in the cave with the dragon, you get a face full of fire, and you're dead. So you have to say yes, because I figure I just got to get in the door and talk to them, and then they're going to go, dude, you are obviously worth $10 an hour. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I figured once I got in the door, I could just ask them and say, hey, is there a way we can start me at a little more than that because I'm old? But I had to say yes online. So then they want me to fill the rest of this out, and it wants my rate of pay everywhere else I worked. And look, folks, you're tired of hearing me bitch. But I'm not really bitching. I'm just stating a fact. When you have to run down and put what you've made at your last 4 jobs and you're applying for an $8.75 an hour job, it's a little humbling. I mean, it's a little fucking brutal because I had to rate the last job I held, like legitimately, because I don't put the security job down because I was an independent contractor, so they don't fucking care about that. But I had to put on the last job. It was a writing job. I made $3,750 a week. And the job before that, I made $2,500 a week. And the job before that, I made $2,000 a week. And the job before that, I made $1,800 a week. And then so on, because it put my resume in and it put all of my jobs in there. So I had to put down all of the money I made. And I'm writing it, and in my head, I'm just going, they're never going to call me in because they're seeing, what a step down it is in pay, certainly. And they're not going to be interested because they're going to know that the second I get something better, perhaps I'll leave. And not knowing that I'm never going to find anything better. It's been established. Believe me, if I'm coming to you for $8.75 an hour, I've been everywhere else. You are not my starting point. I'm now in the basement. And I've stopped at every floor on the way down. And I don't mean to shit on a theater job. I wanted to do it, actually. I was like, well, I can do this. It should be fine. And I just need fucking money at this point because I got bills coming up. End of the month is rolling on us. I need cash. So I fill out the app, and and then they ask a bunch of other questions, about being a citizen and all that. I mean, I'm just like, what are you doing? And just come talk to me. Talk to me. And then I submit the application. And it says, once you hit submit, if we feel that you are worthy of an interview, we'll contact you later. But don't, right now, please understand. Because they were hiring for 17 people in Sherman Oaks and 5 people in Hollywood. And I got to tell you, I was going to take a job anywhere at that point. Either location. I wanted to put it in there. I will work wherever, whenever. I even wrote it in the cover letter. I go, whichever location you need a guy, I'm in. I will work multiple locations. And it also says, are you okay with working anywhere from 15 to 30 hours a week? Well, no, I'm not. Let's see, 15 hours at $8.75 an hour. You start to do the math on that, and you start to go, Jesus Christ, I might just be a hobo. Maybe I'll go be a hobo somewhere. After taxes? I don't know how America is making it happen, folks. I have no idea how you're surviving out there. Gas alone. Out here, 2 gallons of gas would cover an hour of work. So if you work a 4-hour shift, you can't even fill your gas tank. It's crazy. So, but I have to say yes, of course I want to work 15 hours a week. That's exactly why I'm applying with you. And do me a favor, 15 hours a week, could you break that up into like 2 hours a day for 7 days? Because I'd really love it to be the most inconvenient job I ever had in my life. And could you break those hours up? Like, could I come in and work from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and then come back and work 9 p.m. to 10 p.m.? Could I do that? Because I don't want to schedule anything else in my life but you guys. But sparingly. So I just said yes to all their questions because I just got to get my foot in the door. Because I know the second they see me, they're going to make me the king of theaters. I'll work in multiple locations. I won't even have to drive. They'll just throw me on like a Cleopatra barge and have muscle guys carry me to and from each theater. It'll be fucking fantastic. And they'll bring me into each theater and I'll walk in and I'll just give the speech. And people, you know what? It'll be so good. I'll be so good at the speech. People won't even want to start the movie. Please continue to talk at us through that microphone, sir. Do you have any stories about your previous work experiences? Perhaps at a convenience store? Why, I do. We're going to have to hold Superman while I tell you about me at a 7-Eleven. No, I wouldn't be a ham. I would just go there and do what I was told. So I just want to get in the door. So I'm filling out all this paperwork. But again, it says, before you submit, please recognize we may not offer you a job. We have to do. So I hit submit. I'm not joking. I think before I even hit submit, I got the response. Like, it was like, I went, submit. Thank you. We would like to interview immediately. Like, it was like they loved me. But then I went to myself, I'm like, God damn it. They really wanted me. They were so impressed with my resume. And then I'm like, who was impressed with your resume? A robot? Of course they're interviewing people. They need 17 people. Whoever submitted a resume is getting interviewed. If it was that quick, there's nobody reading it. Because then in my head, I'm like, is there some guy at ArcLight headquarters who's reading along with me as I fill out my application? And then he obviously could see the potential for me. He's like, oh my God, this guy used to make $4,000 a week. We need to make him the king of theaters. Get in here, sir. So I fill out that application. I send it. And it says, please schedule an interview at this link. So I click on the link, and it says to pick a time to make an interview. And it was I picked Tuesday at noon. And I scheduled it, and I hit enter, and it came back and it said, I'm sorry, there are no more slots available for that time slot. If we can squeeze you into a different time slot, we will contact you. Or please revisit this page and reschedule it in the future. So all of a sudden, the guy who's reading along with me at ArcLight headquarters has denied my interview. So I get out of there and I go back to the ArcLight page and I try to resubmit it. And it says, you can no longer resubmit this link. And I keep trying to go back to the page to reschedule my interview and it won't come up. So it told me to go there and schedule an interview. I scheduled an interview and they told me that I could not schedule an interview, but please come back and reschedule an interview, and then it won't let me back into the page. It was something called Telco. It was like, I'm sure you've done it, where you fill out an application, it takes you to a different site. So I immediately go to the ArcLight site and I go through the whole process again, not filling out the app, but just checking, because now I'm logged in and I've got my stuff on file. So I start trying to backdoor it and trying to go in and sneak in, and there's no way. I cannot find the ArcLight page. But I Google ArcLight job interview page scheduling. I Google all that, and I come upon a site. There's a site that tells you, and there's a site for everything on the internet. But there's a site that tells you how to interview at the ArcLight. People have been through the process, and they explain to you everything that occurred when you went in. And the one thing I did learn as I started to read up on it, they said, don't even think of asking for more money. Everybody starts at $8.75. Doesn't matter what your experience level is. That was one bucket of water that shocked me when I went in for the interview. Also, it says it's a 3-hour process.
Wow.
To be interviewed by the ArcLight. You show up, and then they talk to you for like an hour, and then they do a series of cuts, and then they talk to more people, and they do individual interviews. And so basically, it's trying to get on Wheel of Fortune again, is all it is. So now I just got to go in there and be charming, handsome, and loved. But I can't schedule an interview. So I read a note to the ArcLight actually through their website. And I say, hey, listen, I just applied for a job. It told me to schedule an appointment. I did, and then it told me there was not one available, and I can't get back in to access the page. Sent that off. Received a reply a day later from an ArcLight robot that said, hey, thank you for your interest in the ArcLight. Please fill out an application and submit it through our website, and then you'll be allowed to schedule an interview. Thanks for your time, Katie at the ArcLight robot. Bleep blorp. So in other words, Katie didn't read a fucking thing I said. I said I applied for a job. I tried to schedule it, went through, everything's on file. I told her. I was very explicit. So you know what? I should be up for fucking Katie's job, quite frankly, because reading comprehension is a strength of mine. So I just resigned myself to the fact where I go, well, fuck it. What are you going to do? Chase this down? Yeah, you're going to chase it down. You need a fucking job. So I started to write Katie again, and I went, fuck this, don't do this. What are you doing? You're chasing this? They'll get back with you. You know how to do this. And sure enough, a day later, I got a note, and they said, you are scheduled for Thursday at noon. Please confirm. Yes, done, confirmed. So this was last Thursday. I had to be there at noon, and it said to wear business casual, and it said to please bring in your resume. And also, it said when you got in there, you'd have to refill out your applications. So that meant I was going to have to go longhand and still write everything down. And so it was good that I was bringing my resume because I was going to have to fucking copy everything off it because I don't remember my fucking job history. I'm old. See, that's the thing. They're hiring young people who may have had one job, if that. So they remember that shit in their mind. I got no fucking idea. So, and my favorite thing is when you go to apply for a job and they want your entire job history. Dudes. I'm a serial killer. I've worked in a million different fucking places. You're not going to be able to pin me down, okay? So I show up at the ArcLight for my noon interview. I get there at 11:30. Park, go upstairs. And it's in Sherman Oaks, by the way. And they say, oh, everybody's who's going to interview is waiting over in the cafeteria. So I go over to the cafeteria, and there is, quite frankly, a group of children that I should have been showing up to teach. 18, 19, 20, maybe. And I have a gray beard. Like literally, it's like Gandalf showed up. So I sit down and I even smirk to myself where I'm just like, oh, because there's just the stink of inexperience on all of them. All of these nice young men are wearing ties. One of them has a binder that's like super thick. I couldn't even imagine what was in it. Like, did you bring your high school yearbook or your? Did you have a better popcorn recipe you'd like to introduce to the staff? I don't know what it could be, but it was a thick binder, and they're all wearing button shirts, and it was me when I applied for my grocery store job. I wore a tie. You know, the first job I ever had, and I understand they're making an impression. And I really want the job, but at the same time, a tie seemed a bit much. Unless I was going to have a tie that I could then tie to a rafter and hang myself from. So I hung out in the cafeteria with these guys and ladies, young ladies. They came down to grab us. And late, by the way. We're there for noon interviews, and they told us to get there a half hour early. They said, we'll start checking in at 11:15, 11:30. So I got there at 11:30. They didn't even come up to us till 12:15. So we sat in the cafeteria for 45 minutes. And finally, they come and grab us. They take the whole posse up in an elevator. Bring us into a room. There's like 15 of us, I think. And there's an ArcLight employee who's wearing the blue shirt and the black pants that everybody wears. She works on the floor, obviously. She's a manager. And then there was a general manager there. And he greets us, and he's probably 31. And again, I don't begrudge anybody their experience, their success. And I'm not ashamed of who I am or what I've done. But it's just noticeable that I'm clearly the oldest guy in the room. And you could have actually, until that general manager showed up, I was older than any two people combined, in my opinion. So We walk into the room. We sit down. And the general manager, I should tell you, we're in a room. Good Lord. I recognize this stuff. And it's so funny how nothing has changed. Those inspirational posters on the wall. The pyramid of time management and how to best achieve your goals for the ArcLight Theater. We're all a team here, and everything you do goes toward making the ArcLight the best it can be, and that's going to lead to greater opportunity for you. And like I said, literally team building exercises and all that stuff is on the walls. And I'm a cynical dick anyway. When I was 18, I thought that stuff was horrible. But now when I walk in, I see that literally nothing has changed from when I was 18. 27 years later, they're still teaching people about the pyramid of friendship and all this other nonsense. And everybody else is wide-eyed, and they're looking at the walls and checking it out. And they have a grease pencil board with the outline of how the ArcLight is going to take over the world, basically. And it was so funny. There was all this fucking writing on the board. I expected Will Hunting to come in and solve it. I mean, it was just fucking crazy. And we're just trying to get a movie theater job. I'm throwing popcorn at people, right? That's all I'm doing. I'm ripping tickets. I don't need to solve fucking Friar's Continuum on the goddamn board. So, but again, I can't be cynical. I need this job. So I sit down, and we're all in a circle. At the head of the circle are the general manager and the woman, and then it branches out, and it goes around in a horseshoe, the rest of us. And general manager gives us a nice speech about the ArcLight, and then he asks us what the ArcLight means to us. And he starts asking, and I'm not smirking, I'm not laughing. I want to fucking punch holes in this, but I need the fucking job. So I'm sitting there as he starts interviewing, not really interviewing, he's proselytizing. He's basically telling us all about the ArcLight and how they feel it's the best theater chain in the world. They're opening one in Chicago coming up. And they've got all these other openings going on, and soon to be in San Diego, and I think one in Austin, Texas. And they're opening all over. And we're bringing the theater goer the best performance and the best experience they can possibly expect. And how many people here have ever been to a theater, and see, what's the difference, and what do you feel is the best thing about the ArcLight? And thankfully, he wasn't calling on people. He was just throwing it out there. And he was saying, "What does team mean to you?" So then people had to say, teamwork. And it means friends, and everybody's answering the same questions in the same ways. And what I don't understand is what kind of outside the box answer is he expecting? I can't imagine he's ever heard anything different than teamwork. We're friends and friendship, and we want to make the ArcLight because everybody's trying to get a job. Nobody's going to be honest. And believe me, that is no time to be honest when you're trying to get a job. You need to shut the fuck up. Especially I do. So he's asking questions. He's doing all these things. So he goes, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go around the room, and you're all going to tell us your name. You don't have to stand up. Stay seated. But tell us your name and tell us something interesting about yourself. And normally this is where I would like to be involved. That's the thing I kind of flourish at. But I don't want, because they don't want to know anything interesting about you. They don't want interesting people. They want people who will do the job and wear the same uniform as everybody else. If they want interesting people, they wouldn't everybody in blue and black. Everybody's wearing the same clothes. That's the thing. We want interesting people. We want to find out what makes you interesting. No, you don't. Why? So you can stomp it into the fucking ground? So you can see who's a problem and who's not right the fuck away? Believe me, jobs do not want interesting people. They want drones. They want you to come in and do what you're fucking told and punch in and punch the fuck out. Nobody wants an interesting guy. I learned this at a grocery store when I was a kid. I wanted being a checker at Jewel, and I brought a Gumby figurine with me into work. And I put Gumby in my pocket. And it was just for no reason. Literally no reason. It was just to be stupid. I was into Gumby and Pokey at the time. I had just discovered them, and they had kind of made a comeback in the 80s. So I was watching them, and I loved them. I loved Gumby and Pokey. They made me laugh. You know who I loved? The Blockheads. They were fucking hysterical. I love the fact that Gumby and Pokey had enemies, and they were twins, and they were just mean for no reason. You know what I loved about it was the movements. I loved the weird movements of stop action animation, like the claymation. It was so great because it was just so clunky and weird. So I loved Gumby and Pokey and the Blockheads more than anything. I didn't care for Goo. My whole career has been just to say that line. I'm so happy I said it. It's about time Goo knew how I felt. But I brought a Gumby to work. I brought a Gumby and a Pokey. And I put Gumby on Pokey, and I had him on my register while I checked people out. And everybody wanted to talk about it. Everybody who came through was like, oh, old people loved it because they remember from when they were kids. New people are like, oh my God, I love that show. It's hysterical. It's like so fun. And I'm like, I love the Blockheads. Oh my God, so do I. It was great. But unfortunately, that was impairing my items scanned per minute count. And that's not even a joke. They would run a fucking thing, and at the end of the night, they would show you what you averaged a minute, how many scans you made a minute. And they were like, yeah, this is unacceptable. You got to bump it up. And so then there was this manager, Diane, and she kept coming up to me, and she'd go, hey, what is this? And she'd point at Gumby. And I was like, yeah, well, that's just, I brought it from home. She's like, yeah, it's you're at work. You're not at home. It's not acceptable. You can't be on your register. So I took him out of the register, and I put him in my pocket. And I put him in a pocket, like posed, where his arms were out, like he was in my pocket, like, yay, he was just kind of like hanging out. And everybody's like, oh, Gumby's in your pocket, how fun. And then Diana's like, yeah, get that out of here, man. What the fuck? You're at a job. And it's true. I was at a job because they don't want Gumby and Pokey at the job. If they had, they would have hired them. Unfortunately, Gumby and Pokey would have never gotten past the interview process because they would have filled out the fucking application. The Blockheads would have kept stealing their pen. You know who gets that job? Goo. Because Goo is a drone. So they don't want to know anything interesting for real, but it doesn't matter because when you're 18, nothing about you is interesting. So they start going around. And, there are people with pimples in this room. That's who I'm applying against. And everybody's like, oh, you know what? And it's the same thing because, again, you're 18. You don't know who you are yet. You don't know what you've done. So these people are like, yeah, I really like movies, and I think this would be like a really fun place to work. And here's a fun, interesting thing about me is I like cars. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. And again, that's nothing against people. They haven't had any time to formulate what's interesting about them yet because there is nothing interesting because they're fucking 18. So they're going around, and this one kid told a story, and I'm just gonna fuck it. I'm just gonna tell you. He goes, yeah, I really like coming here because when I come here, I come to see the movies. Like we came here just the other night, I like to hang out here at the movie theater because I think it would look like a fun job, but I come here, so I apply because I want to work here, because I came here the other night and there was a guy who was really, really helpful. And I think everybody's really helpful. It looks like everybody be really friends and friendly. And we came here the other day to watch the Almost Earth movie. With Will Smith, the After Earth movie. And we went to buy a ticket, and the guy at the counter told us, he goes, oh, you don't want to see this movie. This movie is terrible. And I was so happy that he told me because, I wanted to avoid it. So he was like, yeah, he kept telling us how, and I could see the general manager's face. He's furious. Because if you work there, you're not supposed to fucking tell people that a movie is terrible. Take their fucking money. They don't want you to be a fucking opinionated person. They might pretend that they do. They might pretend that you got your favorite movie on your fucking name tag and they want you to engage people. But the second you start giving a real opinion about something that sucks, well, that could be some guy in there from fucking Paramount. Some dude from Paramount could be buying a ticket to After Earth and you're like, yeah, this movie blows. And you're like, really? I was the assistant director on this movie. Where's your fucking manager? And they fucking yanked their product out of the theater. You can't do that. So it made me laugh that this kid was telling it like this was why he wanted to apply there was because someone told him the movie sucked. Yeah, After Earth, like he said that it was really bad and really terrible, so he convinced us, and so we went ahead and we saw Hangover 3 instead, and it was really fun and funny. And the general manager is shaking his head, and he just goes, yeah, that wasn't good. When did you come in? He's like, we were here Sunday night to see the movie. And he goes, were you at this location or in Hollywood? He goes, no, we were at this location. He goes, all right. And he starts writing down Sunday night. So he's going to find out who was on the registers, and he's going to take them all aside, and all of them are going to have to do fucking push-ups because fucking Private Pile spilled his fucking guts. So while he's standing there in his fucking boxer shorts eating his donuts, these motherfuckers are scraping popcorn off the back. So that guy, he doesn't realize, he's telling that anecdote like it's a great thing. He just got 3 dudes fired. So now instead of 17, they need 20. So maybe good for him, he just opened up some spots for all of us in the goddamn room. I guess I should consider that guy a champion. He fucking helped us out. That was all the plan in his binder. He opened the binder up. He's like, aha, get these dudes fired. Win.
Oh, God.
So the general manager's furious. He's writing down the names. He's trying to figure out who it was. And I should tell you this, by the way. The general manager and the girl who worked on the floor, the manager, is in there. And he has her stand up and introduce herself and talk about what it means to be an ArcLight. And, of course, the first thing they tell you is this. And, she goes, I work on the floor. She goes, I am not a cashier. I am not a movie ticket taker. I do not work as a concession stand person. I am an ArcLight employee, which means I do whatever is necessary. She goes, if I work here and I have to sell you popcorn, I will. And if I have to clean the bathroom, I will. She goes, the other day we had someone throw up in the bathroom and I went and cleaned it up. I was happy to do it because I am an ArcLight employee and that's what you do. And I'm just sitting there going, oh, they got to her. They got to her. Don't say you're happy. It's okay to say that that's what you did because we all do it, but don't say you were happy to clean up the vomit. Oh, by the way, The only thing she doesn't do at the ArcLight, she's the manager. She's the floor manager. Only thing she does not do is work the bar. You know why? Because she's not 21.
Oh.
That's going to be my boss.
Oh.
She's 20. And she's going to tell me to go clean up the vomit with a smile on my face. Thanks, person barely old enough to vote. I'll clean up the vomit, but the only difference between you and me is I'll be able to carry a flask so I can drink away the memory. So she gives her speech and sits down, and then we go around the room, and that guy gives the thing about the fucking hangover after Earth debacle. And I'm trying desperately to think of something interesting about myself that's not going to sound too interesting, because I don't want to stand out. I'm not trying to be that guy. You know, I just want to get a fucking job. I'm not here to get on a game show. I'm not here to audition. I just want to show enough of myself. I want to, you know what? I want to Milton Berle it. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to take out just enough to win. Google it. I just want to. I don't want to be too interesting because I know they don't fucking want that at all. So they go around the room. Everybody keeps answering their questions. You know, I go to college and I like movies. I have eyes. I enjoy looking at big screens. I mean, it's just fucking brutal. So it comes around, and this is exactly what I've decided my anecdote is going to be. All right? This is what I decided to say. This was me at my most dull. Hi, my name is Mike Schmidt. I'm originally from Chicago. I've lived in Los Angeles for about 15 years. I've been an ArcLight member since the chain opened. It is absolutely my favorite place to see a movie. And it is very clear to me that I am the oldest person in this room. That's what I was going to say. So I was ready. I was ready to fire it off because I thought I'd get a decent laugh, but it would still, you know, it'd take some of the edge off who I was, and it would kind of show a little bit of me. So they're going around the room, and I'm panicking. I'm like, should you say that? Should you not say that? Is that too much? Yes, I said it, and then in my head I go, well, it's okay because you're acknowledging it, but you're also you're blowing it off. We all know it, so why not say it? But then in my head I'm like, well, does that make it look like you're self-conscious about how old you are? But at that point I didn't care because honestly there was nothing else interesting to share. I wasn't going to tell anybody about the podcast. I didn't want anybody to know anything about the fact that I failed in show business. You know what I mean? It seems crazy. Although it's clear that I have, if I'm there at 45 with a gray fucking goatee trying to get a job cleaning up vomit with a smile on my face. So they go around the room and they come to the guy right before me. I should tell you, I'm about 12th out of 15. So I heard every single anecdote. And there was this Russian kid who could not stop talking. He kept answering every question. And he was wearing like fucking Beatle boots. I mean, it was like just hipsters and fucking eyeglasses that with irony. I think irony was actually there in pajamas. Wore pajamas, ironically, to the interview. So this guy, they come to the guy right in front of me. And he's 21. And he gives his name. And he says, and I'm an actor. And I'm a television host. And I actually hosted a television show for the past 3 years, and he gives the call letters of what channel it's on. That might not sound embarrassing, but it was, because no one really watched it. Because here, even I said it to you guys, it's been on for 3 years, and you guys don't really know what it is. But I'll tell you, it got to me after a while, and I just turned down a 6-figure contract to host another show because I didn't believe in the content. I didn't believe in what they were doing. And that's led me to here because I really love what you guys do as an organization, and I love movies, and I want to be as close to them as I possibly can. And I'm sitting next to him while he says this, ready to tell everybody how old I am. So he finishes, and everybody's like, "Ooh, there's kind of a buzz because he's a TV host," and So then it comes to me, and I had fully intended to be at my most dull. I was ready to be as uninteresting as I possibly could. I could close my eyes and see myself in a blue shirt with a mop in my hand. With a name tag that said Mike, with Reservoir Dogs on it, and I would talk to everyone about that film. I couldn't wait. If only he hadn't told that story of his life. I was so ready to mention my age and just blow it off and let's all have a good time and please give me a job. But I'm still Mike Schmidt. I'm still me. So it comes to me, and the guy looks at me, and I just go, "Hey, I'm Mike Schmidt. Originally from Chicago, been living in Los Angeles about 15 years. I've been an ArcLight member since it opened. I love coming here and going to the movies, both here and in Hollywood. And I would love to get the phone number from you of the people you turned down a 6-figure contract from so I could give them a call when we walk out of here.
Oh, shit.
Because I thought it would be funny. Because fuck you, I turned down a 6-figure contract because I like movies and I want to get to be as close to them as I possibly can. You're not close to movies. You're closer to vomit than you are to movies. Don't pretend like you're getting into the business by getting a job at the fucking ArcLight. You might as well just said, hey, I look good in a blue shirt and I want to get as close as I can to blue shirts as I possibly can. Get fucking bound, fake TV host, with your fucking 6-figure contract. Give me that fucking phone number so I can call them. I would not be dicking around in here for $8.75 a fucking hour with a Russian in beetle boots. I'm competing with you, goddammit. Fucking Binder just got 3 people fired and opened 3 spots. Go take your 6-figure contract so then I have another chance at getting in. So I thought it was pleasant and funny, and it got a huge laugh in the room because it was all tense and weird, and everybody's like giving their interesting anecdote, and it's just like school, first day of school and bullshit. And then I said, I would love the phone number of the people you turned down a 6-figure contract from so I can call them when we walk out of here. Huge laugh. And then I just turned around kind of like, I looked around, yay, I got to laugh. Because that's what I do. That's my job. Honestly, no matter what fucking sub job I'm applying for, my meta job, my big job, the job I'm in for life is to get people to laugh. And I just got hired. So the laughter dies down. And he looks at me and he has to lamely try to save face, and he's just like, oh yeah, well, we can talk afterwards. I am like, I'm fantastic.
Oh, no.
Because he realized what a dumb fuck he looked like. Because he essentially told everybody in the room, I'm better than all of you, and I turned it down to be in here with the great unwashed. So I made him look stupid and got a big laugh. Yay. Because again, teamwork and friends. That's why we're here. Look, man, we all have the same job. Nobody has a specific job here. We're all here to be friends and make each other look good and make fun of one another. That's why we're here. And again, half the job is engaging with customers. Half the job is being down on the microphone and telling people about films. I can do that. And now I've just shown that I'm pretty quick on my feet because literally that guy a second before me, and so I fucking burned him to the ground. Done. Perfect. Look at me. I'm great. So then it goes around to the next 3 people, and the next 3 are nice people. There was a young African-American gentleman who literally may have been from Africa because he spoke with a very heavy accent. And he was dressed like a Muslim. He had the fucking bow tie and the whole outfit on, but he didn't have a hat on, and he didn't try to sell me a bean pie. So other than that, he may have just been just a guy who he looked spiffy in those clothes. And then there was a Hispanic girl with a really heavy accent who was also majoring in the film. And then there was a young Sikh gentleman who loved films and talked about them and talked about the films. And he was actually very interesting because he liked films from his home country. And one of the things he really loved was that they had the film festivals at the ArcLight, and sometimes they'll show foreign films, including some films from where he was from. And the general manager's like, okay, great. He goes, we're going to get some water up here for you guys. We got to go have a short talk. But hang out here, and we'll all be back at 10:15. We'll take a 15-minute break. Or, I'm sorry, 1:15. No, 1:15. We'll all take a 15-minute break. Which, by the way, that should show you how long we're in the room. They picked us up at 12:15. They brought us upstairs. All the talking, all the introducing took an hour. That's why we're there for 3 fucking hours. Because I got to hear about vomit and turn down TV contracts, whatever the fuck. So, oh, and I should tell you this. I did not have to refill out my application. When we got there, I thought I would have to, but they had our applications printed out from the computer, so you had to just go grab them off the table. And then I grabbed it, and it was just, I'll tell you what, it was even harder to see in print that I used to make $4,000 a week. So, and part of me wanted to even shove that in the face of the guy who turned down the contract. Look at what I used to make! Get that contract and run. Or you will be me, motherfucker. You don't want to be me. So after they take the break, they go outside and they're doing some talking, and they bring water upstairs. They have a lackey and a blue shirt. They have a blue shirt. Bring it up, and I had brought water with me, so everybody else is drinking water and they're talking. And what do you think? How's it going? Oh my gosh! And they, and this one girl was real cute, and she made me laugh because again, I was an old buck in a room full of fawns. I mean, like literally, they're all just frolicking, and I'm just like, leave me alone. I was the huge bulldog, and they were all like, hey, Spike, what's going on, Spike? And they're jumping around because they're excited. And the best part was this little girl reveal, and you know what, her insight to me, finally someone who had insight. They walk out to take the break, and we all took water, and she goes, oh my gosh, when he started asking us about team and what we believed in teamwork and how we believed in building a team, she goes, I just read that poster that was right above his head. The team pyramid. She just read platitudes right off of it, and that's when he's like, good, very good. Yes, of course, good.
Oh my Christ.
But I love the fact that she knew to do that. Everybody else hemmed and hawed, but she fucking fired off with stuff, and everybody's like, whoa, look, she knows her shit. Yeah, because she's reading it off the fucking wall. So they take their break. They go outside, and we drink, water. And the general manager comes back in, and he sits down, and he goes, all right, are we all here? And we sit down, and he goes, okay. He goes, I need to see Mike S., and I don't want to say their names, but he names 3 other people. And it was African bow tie. It was Hispanic film student, and it was Turban Sikh, and Mike S. And we stand up and we walk out into the hallway, and he goes, okay, this is the end of the line for you guys. We appreciate you coming in and trying to get the job, but it's not going to go forward from here. We hope you'll continue to come to the ArcLight and enjoy films. And we're standing there. And by the way, the way I said it, a million times more smoothly than he said it. Because he hemmed and hawed, and he looked in his binder, and he didn't make eye contact. And he finishes, and I just go, ha-ha! And he looks at me, and I go, are you serious? And he goes, yeah. Thank you for coming in. We do appreciate it. We liked you guys a lot. It's just it's a numbers game. And I wanted to say it's a numbers game. You can hire 17 people. There were 15 in the room. You're cutting 4 of us loose now. But I didn't. I just smirked. Because I knew. All right. And I wasn't, I'm desperate, but I'm not that desperate to be upset about it. Because if I can't find another job for $8.75 an hour somewhere, then fuck me. But just to be cut in the first wave was what made me laugh. And I know it's because I was old. I guarantee it. Smartass they can live with, probably. Maybe. Old, they might have a problem. Regardless, old smartass, out the fucking door in the first cut. But the best part is then we go over to the elevator, and they're shell-shocked, these poor kids. They were, like, desperate. And I look around, and there's this Hispanic girl. There's Bowtie Bean Pie. And Turban Sikh. And me on the elevator. And in my head, I just went, dude, you're Sydney. In Sydney, Mohammed and Jagdish from Animal House. When they walk Flounder and fucking Pinto over. And they go, hey, here's Sydney and Mohammed and Jagdish. And you guys can get along fine. And I look, I was Sydney, I'm Sydney. And me, Clayton, Mohammed, and Jagdish had to ride the elevator back down to our sad lives. But the thing is, they've got their whole lives ahead of them. Mine is expiring rapidly. And for just a second, for an inkling, for just a moment, I thought about going in and throwing up all over the floor in the bathroom. Just to put a smile on her face. Thought better of it.
Oh my God.
I walked out. And it was so funny because, you would think that I would be crushed by this experience because I am so desperate to find a gig. Like, I need a job like fucking yesterday. But honestly, it made me happy like I gained strength from that whole experience because it gave me renewed confidence that I need to find what I'm supposed to be doing. It made me think, you know what? Because if I would have taken that gig, then I'm in the machine and I'm for nowhere near the return that I need. And I still, honestly, I was not out of trouble by getting that gig. I still would have had to get another gig and maybe even another gig and do what I could to stay afloat. But when I walked out of there, in my head, I was like, I wasn't like, oh, dude, I was so rejected by them. I was like, yeah, no, I don't fucking belong here. There's a reason I shouldn't get this job. There's a reason I shouldn't be here. I don't fucking need that. I mean, I need the money, but I don't need the whole experience. So I was invigorated. I actually walked out of there. I was happy. And there's probably something to the fact that it still meant I had my freedom. You know what I mean? I was able to walk out and just be like, yay, I'm still me. Even with everything else collapsing around me. I didn't have to completely sell my soul and fucking do this. But it's not even selling your soul. You do what you got to do to stay alive. I recognize that. I understand it. I don't mean it in a mean way. If you do that, that's fine. But it just meant I had to find something different. And it also, like I said, kept me happy and made me think that I'm still going to find the thing I'm supposed to find. But in the meantime, I still got to get a gig, right? Right? You know that. Especially, you know, it's funny. I'm going to Aspen this weekend. I don't even think they're going to let me in because I'm poor. Like, seriously, didn't they stop the poor at the border of fucking Aspen? I don't even, I have a friend who's getting married. One of the UN of Evil is getting married. And he's getting married in Aspen. And he's like, I really want you at my wedding. I'm like, yeah, I have no money. Can't do it. He's like, come on, man, I really want you to go. And I go, dude, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, that's also days that I could be spending looking for a gig and, or sitting in my apartment and being sad that I don't have a gig. It's just all of that. Because I've done this before, man. I've gone places when you're broke and other people aren't broke. And then they all step up for you, and you just feel like a dumbass. You know what I mean? It's nice, and that's cool, but at the same fucking time, you're like, God damn it, why am I even here? So I wanted to even avoid the hassle, because I tell you what, I'm going to Aspen, and I'm going to a wedding, and I'm going to a rehearsal dinner, or a meeting dinner, whatever the fuck, and then there's a breakfast the next day. Like, I don't have any clothes to wear. I mean, I don't mean to sound like fucking Cinderella or Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman, but I don't have a fucking thing. Like, I wear what I wear on stage. I wear jeans and I wear, my Nikes and I wear a nice overshirt, but I don't have a suit. I don't have a fucking tux. And it's funny, I was talking to Max, man, because we're going to be in Aspen. He's there. That's the only, I'll tell you what, that's the greatest thing is that I'll get to see my friends. Literally the UN of Evil, Jimmy O, Woj, Max, Evil Dennis, they're all going to be out there. So I'm excited for that. And they'll cover me, and that's fine, but they have forever. And I can't wait till I can fucking just go in and buy everything for everyone. And again, they don't give a fuck. They say the same thing all the time. Who cares? Dude, as long as you're there, we'll have a good time. And but it's just not the same. I don't want to be anybody's son. But that's who I'm going to be while I'm there. And I was telling Max that I don't have any clothes. And I'm like, what the fuck? I got to tell Evil Dennis that I have no fucking clothes. But part of me, it's funny, because, Dumb and Dumber was filmed in Aspen. So I told Max, I go, dude, let's go get those fucking tuxedos from Dumb and Dumber. Like, remember when they went in for the makeover? And they took the buzzsaw, the fucking bandsaw, or the whatever it was, the circular saw on his toenails, and then they fucking got those weird bowl haircuts, and then they trying on the tuxes. That's our favorite scene. Max and I in Dumb and Dumber, I think I almost died. All the air left my body. I was laughing so hard at the tuxedo scene because he keeps coming in really nice tuxedos, and he's all sad and he's all slumped over with his fucking shoulders, and then finally he wears that orange one and he fucking pirouettes throughout the room, and Jeff Daniels gives it a standing ovation. So fucking amazing. And then they show up at the wedding with the canes, and they're hitting each other with the canes, and then he just fucking blasts them as hard as he can in the back of the knee. I'm like, dude, we got to do that. Because I don't want to be there. So I'm going to teach them a lesson. If I don't want to be somewhere, this is what you get. Orange tux and hitting you in the fucking knee with a cane. I'm going to galooly the shit out of fucking Max. It's going to be hysterical. God damn it, I can't wait to go to Aspen now. I just talked myself into it. I got to get an orange tux and an orange cane and fucking kill an owl. You know what? I will not rest unless I kill an owl in Aspen. Might not be with a cork, might be with my cane. I might just bite its fucking head off. Who the fuck knows? But I can tell you this, I will be in Aspen this weekend and an owl will die. Fuck. Need a job. I told Dennis, I'm like, dude, I can't. If I get a gig, I'm not coming. You know, I'm just telling him flat out. Because again, he picked up the fucking room and the fucking ticket and all that, and I'm like, dude, give it to somebody else, man. Give it to somebody who can afford to be there. And he's like, no, I want you here. He said it's my wedding gift. He goes, your wedding gift to me is you coming. And I'm just like, God damn it, that's an awful wedding gift. That's terrible. Haven't you heard? I'm old and useless. You know what? Fuck it. I don't even know if he has a band or whatever at the reception. Maybe I just grab Fuckable and Doable and we drive the fuck out there. Please welcome Clean and Sharp and Backyard Smooth. I'll sing for my supper. I don't give a fuck. Yay, Aspen. Like, I mean, it'll be fun, I suppose. And I'm not even at, like, bridesmaid fucking age anymore. You know what I mean? I'm an elder statesman. I'm not going to be able to tag anybody. My buddy, Jimmy O, was like, hey, man. He goes, and Jimmy O is, again, all my friends are fucking awesome. Jimmy O is like, hey, dude, it's official that my wife is not coming. So if you want to split a room and, you know, I can take care of it, we'll do all that. And I wrote him and I go, no, unfortunately, my father, Dennis, has already fucking picked it up. But thank you for the offer. And he's like, cool, we'll bachelor around and fucking chase bridesmaid ass while we're there. And I was like, all right. Which made me laugh because I know his wife and she's just like, she would kick both of our asses if she even heard that. Fucking Gwen is awesome. I just said his wife's name. I probably shouldn't do that. Well, that's her first name. Who the fuck cares? You're going to look up Gwen Jimmy O? No, you're not. UN of Evil Gwen? She's not in the UN of Evil. She's a thief. Gwen's a thief. I should tell you that. No, I shouldn't. All right, never mind. Well, no, what Mex did this like artwork for something, and she appropriated it for something else. Like she took Mex's artwork and like didn't tell him, and he was just so it's become a running joke with us that she fucking did that. They have a dog. Fucking Jimmy O and Gwen have a dog that I think weighs 150 pounds. It's gigantic. There's a great picture he showed me. You can't even see Gwen. You just see her face. And then it's just dog. Like, she's underneath it on the fucking table. Because I think she's like a Zumba trainer or some shit now. Like, she's all fucking, she got totally skinny. And so if she turns sideways, you can't even see her. But then you cover her with dog and you really can't see her. I gotta stop talking about this. Because their dog is just gigantic. Like, I told him, I go, how do you live with that thing? Like, I couldn't even imagine. I don't want to pet it. I barely want to talk about it. Dogs freak me out. And, well, I like tiny dogs. You know that. I need a dog that fits in my Prada bag. I don't want a fucking big dog.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's right. I carry a Prada bag on stage with fucking Clean and Sharp. Backyard Smooth with his Prada bag. So I did not get the job at the movie theater.
No.
And it led me to wonder, you know, because I don't know what the hell's happening. I'm trying, so it looked like grocery stores, man. I gotta apply at the grocery stores, and my friend said he'd refer me. So last week I was sitting around trying to figure out. All right, and for those of you who can do the timing on this, I should tell you, the ArcLight thing happened 2 weeks ago. I was going to tell it last week, and then I got caught up into something else. Oh, yeah, because I got fucking screamed at in the parking garage by that dude. So that superseded it. Because I even said to Lily, I go, I have another whole story to tell, but if it's going to get, you know, it's literally at least a half hour. And she's like, well, tell it if you want. And I go, nah, we're okay. I go, it seems silly to shoehorn it in, so I'll tell them next week. But then I get weird on the timing, so I always tell every story like it just happened. But it may have happened like months ago. So please recognize that. I'm telling the story from a hospital bed. And I won't get to why for 3 months. Anyway. So last week, you know, I left here after being with Lily. I went home to empty apartment. And then that night I have to do my Facebook stuff. And I also had to watch the hockey game last week that I had taped, as you know. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals. So I'm in my house watching it, and it went to triple overtime. So, I mean, I didn't even start watching it until like 11:30. It didn't end in my house till 2:30, like 2:30 in the morning. And thank God the Hawks won that game. And they're playing right now, as a matter of fact. But I'm so glad they won that game, because if you tape like a triple overtime game and then you watch it to the end and they lose, you're just like, oh, it's wasted my whole fucking night. It was terrible. So I watched the Hawks win, and I went online. I went on Facebook. I posted something about it. And I had read my email blast for the podcast. It was about 3 a.m. And the phone rang in my apartment. And I'm used to that now. The phone rings all the time because my creditors have decided that I am someone they'd like to speak with. So I get about 30 phone calls a day from them. And so the phone is just a nuisance. Like I don't even look anymore at the landline, certainly. After the fact, I might check it. But anybody who calls me on the landline, I don't even, because I know it's going to be, I can recognize every single number. So I check out the caller ID, and usually I don't even do that. But 3 in the morning seems to be a little odd. Certainly an odd time for creditors to call you. I'm not saying they wouldn't. But the phone rang and I looked over, so I glanced at the caller ID because it was strange to have a phone call 3 in the morning. And it was a local number. And that usually doesn't mean creditor. But it also doesn't mean I'm going to answer it either. Because I don't know who it is and what the fuck's going to happen. So I let the machine get it. And I hear someone start talking, so I turn it up. Because again, I even have the machine turned down, so I don't have to hear the fucking robot telling me they want my money. I turn it up, and I just hear a man's voice. He's like, hey, I don't know if this is still Mike and Karen's number. And I knew who it was. And I froze for a second. And in my head, I went, you know what, just grab the phone. So I did. It was my brother Lenny, who I haven't spoken with in about 11 years. 11? Well, let's put it this way. I haven't spoken to him at length about anything important in about 14 years. But I would see him periodically, and I'd, at fantasy baseball drafts and stuff, so we'd exchange small talk. But we don't hang out. And there's a reason. And those of you who have seen me live might know that reason. So I was kind of stunned that he was calling me in the middle of the night. But apparently he had seen on Facebook that I was up because I was posting about the hockey game and stuff. And he thought he'd give me a call. So I'm like, hey, Len. And there's silence. And he starts talking. And it was awkward, because I don't know what to say. Because we didn't leave it great. And, I'm not expecting an apology. I'm not expecting anything, really. I certainly wasn't expecting to have him fucking call me in the middle of the night. But I'm trying to live by that, hey, you're a grown-up, fucking deal with stuff. If I would have let the machine get it, that's kind of a coward's way out. He picked up the phone, so talk to him. So we talked, and he'd had a few, which I think may have led to him picking up the phone. And he started to fill me in on the wreckage of his life, and I started to fill him in on the wreckage of my life. And we talked about hockey as well. And we got to talking, and I told him basically my situation, and but not with any expectations attached, certainly, and not in a way to drum up any sort of sympathy or to have a big dick look who's having a fucking terrible time contest. He just, it turns out he's divorced. And I think I've talked about him on here. I may have mentioned, Lenny has 2 daughters that I've never met. There was something that happened, and then he actually lived in my apartment complex, and he had his daughters while I was living there, and I never met them. And they would walk by my apartment, and they would look at me, and they knew. It was the first time I ever thought there was something to family ties in that way, because they had never been introduced to me in any way, but they would look at me because I sort of looked like their dad, and they recognized that. And of course, I would throw water at the screen door and chase them away like a cat. Because that's who I am as a guy. Get lost, squirt. So, no, they would walk by, and I would say hello. I go, hi, how are you, ladies? Because they were 1. And they would continue. And also, you know what? It may have been just fucking backyard smooth magnetism. It may have been that. Maybe they felt it. All ages of ladies have stepped up Not only gay icon, child icon Mike Schmidt.
Oh.
So Lenny tells me about where he's at and what's going on with him, and I tell him, yeah, Karen left. And he's like, really? And I said, yeah, a couple of months ago. And so we talked about that. We talked about this, talked about hockey and everything else. And he says, so, well, like, what are you doing? Like, where do you work? And I said, well, I don't. I said, I was working a security gig, and I explained that it ended, and I'm chasing other jobs, and, that Karen wasn't happy, and so she split, and now I'm fucking boned. And I, same thing I tell you guys. At the time, I got $400 in the bank, and who knows what the fuck's going to happen, and let's figure it out. And he's like, well, do you want a job? I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, because my brother's an actor, and you would know him if you saw him. He's been on a bunch of commercials. He was on Big Love for like 4 episodes. He was on True Blood. He's been on a bunch of stuff. He was just a regular on an MTV series. He was somebody's dad. So he was on a Howie Long fucking Chevy commercial that I used to see 4 times a day. So he's very successful acting. He goes, but when I don't do that, I manage a barbecue restaurant in Hollywood. It's the best job I've ever had in my life. It was initially in Venice, and then he went to the one in Hollywood, and he started working both. He goes, I've been there like 9 years. I help these guys out whenever I can. When I'm filming, they let me off. When I go on cruise ships and I do stand-up, they let me off. When I'm in town, I work. It's the best. It's the greatest arrangement I've ever had. And we're looking for drivers because we've become exponentially busy over the past couple of months because we've got a lot of national press. So I would love for you to come in and be a driver with me. And there was a pause, and I said, all right. You should probably sleep on this offer. And he goes, what do you mean? And I go, well, I certainly recognize it, and I thank you for it, and I'm interested. Don't think that I'm not interested. I'm absolutely interested. But since you're making a 4 a.m. booty call to your brother for the first time in 13 years, and you recognize the history that we have, you might want to sleep on this offer. And he started laughing, and he goes, well, I've been drinking. I won't lie. He goes, oh yeah, so you're drunk dialing me at 4 a.m, and now you're giving me a job. It seems a little strange. If I didn't know any better, I would think you were planning the perfect murder. Haven't talked in 13 years. You lure me into the barbecue restaurant. I get chopped up and cooked. Who the fuck knows? And he laughed. He's like, well, yeah, I'm a little drunk. He goes, but he goes, I won't lie to you. I talked to Mom. And so I kind of know where you're at. Like, I know your situation. And I didn't even know he was talking to my mom anymore because he and my mom had a falling out too. But I guess that's tenuously coming back together. I don't know. None of my business. There's another thing to deal with him. So he says, yeah, I talked to Ma, and I know where you're at, and this would work out. He goes, I'll tell you what. He goes, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. He goes, I recognize that, and I know we've had our problems in the past at jobs and everywhere else. And I said, yeah. He goes, but I would love to have you come in. He goes, and he's interested in family, which I guess happens when your family falls apart. You look outward. Although when mine had fallen apart, I did not. I looked inward. But sometimes when people extend a hand, you got to grab it. So I said, well, I'm very interested. I still think you should sleep on it. He goes, I'll tell you what. Well, what do you do tomorrow? And I had a poker game the next night. He's like, come in to the barbecue restaurant. We'll have dinner. We'll talk. And we'll see how it works out. He goes, but I'm working. I'll buy you dinner. And we'll knock it around and see what happens. I said, okay. Before we get into all that, something else I need to talk to you about. He said, what is it? I said, I have a CD coming out in July. He goes, oh, congratulations. He goes, are you putting it out yourself? I go, no, I have a record label that was interested, and I should tell you that you are about an hour of that CD. He's like, what? I said, yeah, you remember that thing that happened? The reason why this is the first time we're talking in 13 years? He's like, yeah? I said, yeah, that became the end of my one-man show. And so I've been doing it live across the country since 2010, and now it's coming out on the CD next month. So I just want to warn you that that's going to be out there. And he goes, oh. And I said, I'm very clear to tell people that you have your own version of the story. But this is mine. And he says, oh. I said, if you want, I will send you the raw cut of the CD, and you can listen to it. But I know you did it. You did your one-man show, and I was a chunk of that. So I'm just letting you know. He goes, well, you know, if you want to send it to me to listen to, I don't care. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. He goes, but I'll be honest with you. You know, for the last 10 years, he goes, you're going to think this is stupid to make fun of me. I go, no, I'm not. I go, dude, everybody's everybody. They do what they want, and that's fine. He goes, well, I've been following the ways of Buddha. And I said, all right, that is stupid. And he laughed. I go, I'm kidding. You know I'm kidding. And he goes, so I believe things are in the past. They don't matter. He goes, who cares? You move forward. You just forget and forgive. And I'm fine with it. I don't care. I said, all right. You'll probably want to hear it before you say that. He goes, no. He goes, you want to send it? That's fine, but I don't need it. I don't care. He goes, you do what you want to do, and you're an artist. Artists do what they want to do, and I would never tell you not to express yourself in any way. So I understand it because I do the same exact thing. I said, well, this is a pretty good drunk 4 a.m. talk. We'll see how you feel about it when you're sober. And he laughed, and he goes, you don't have to send it to me. If you want to, you can. He goes, I might not even listen to it. I said, okay. So I went to dinner the next night. And again, hadn't seen him in forever. He was there with his new teeth. And he has veneers. They look good for him because he got hit in the mouth when we were kids. For some reason, he had little tiny teeth, like little rat teeth or something. And he didn't like them, obviously. That's why he got veneers. Well, when we were kids, he got hit in the face with a tetherball pole. I've told that story on here. And his fucking front tooth cracked in half. So he had a cap forever that just got discolored. And so fucking fix your teeth. Why not? I wish I could. I got a fucking weird rogue tooth. So I see him at the restaurant. He was very friendly. And I walk in and I would, the thing I've told everybody this, despite my differences with my brother, I've never ever said that he wasn't good at what he does and that he wasn't popular. Because the one thing he's got over me by fucking in spades is likability. For some reason, he walks in a room and people gravitate toward him. They love him. He's got that amiable fucking, he's a St. Bernard. He's a big St. Bernard. I'm a Doberman. A fat Doberman, but a Doberman nonetheless. Nobody wants to come up and pet me. Let's put it that way. Except maybe fucking clean and sharp. But Lenny, forget about it. He's just a walking bear hug. I mean, that's who he is. So I walk in, and it's just palpable how much they love him there. And because he was so excited to tell people that I was his brother. He's just like, this is my brother. Oh my God, it's my brother. And so I got that secondhand love. Imagine if the best person you knew introduced you to someone they really liked. You'd instantly like that person because that's what you give that friend of yours. So they loved Lenny, so they're going to love me unconditionally. They're like, oh my God. And they're hugging me and they're shaking my hand. And he and I sit down and then he just orders. I told him, I go, look, I got to be honest. He goes, I'll get dinner. What do you want? We got this, we got this. I go, especially barbecue, dude, I can't eat a ton of it. I go, I can eat a little of everything, whatever you get. I go, but I go, Karen and I would go out, we'd buy one entree and split it. I go, I'm just fucking shot for barbecue, especially pork and everything. And he goes, no problem. And so he then over orders food. He gets, half a rack of ribs and fucking pulled pork and brisket, and they have this thing called a suicide, which is cornbread with shrimp on top with remoulade sauce and coleslaw and fried okra and macaroni and cheese. They just keep bringing food in waves, and I'm like, God damn it, dude, I can't eat all this shit. So he's eating. It was delicious. It was amazing food. So we're eating, and he's telling me, he goes, you know what? You'll come in, you'll drive. We're here in Hollywood. We have a location in Venice too. He goes, but you can work, you work whatever hours you want. Like you tell us, and I schedule it. I schedule everybody for a month, and everybody covers each other's shifts. And it's exactly what I'm looking for if I can't get what I'm looking for, if that makes sense. Obviously, I'd love to be doing a writing job. I'd love to be doing something that compensates me in the way that I want to be compensated and lets me do the thing I'm best at. But if I can't do that, then what better than being in your car and listening to fucking tunes and driving around and bringing people their food, and you don't have to worry about it. And also, you get free food at this joint, so it saves me money there. I can wear my fucking regular clothes. I don't have to wear a fucking uniform. And it's pretty decent money. It's more hourly than I was making at the ArcLight.
Wow.
Or I would have made at the ArcLight. And then tips. And he told me, because we're super busy, we do catering. So sometimes we cater Dodger Stadium. Sometimes we cater TV shows. And if you want in on that, we can do it. I go, you know what? I don't think I can cook anything, dude. He goes, well, you don't have to cook. He goes, just come in and fucking unload stuff. He goes, whatever. We can go forward and figure it out. He goes, I do everything here. He goes, I work in Venice and I work in Hollywood. He goes, I drive. And he says, when you work here, the way we look at, I go, do I have to cook food? Like, will I have to work the register, answer the phones? He goes, there is no, it's my job here. He goes, if something happens in the kitchen, everybody takes care of it. If something happens at the phone, that's great. He goes, if I got to grab a mop and go into the bathroom, that's exactly what I got to do. And in my head, I'm like, well, you do it with a smile on your face? But I understood that philosophy, because I will tell you what, that is a restaurant philosophy. When I heard it at the theater, it made sense. But in restaurants, there are no generals in restaurants. If you're the chef and the fucking toilet starts overflowing, you got to fix it, because otherwise people aren't going to want to eat your fucking food. So shit gets done. And that's always been the way I've kind of done it. It just, I prefer it, hearing it from my brother, who's run 2 restaurants in town and run like 12 restaurants in his life, than have to hear it from a 20-year-old. And that's probably just me. Or at least it's on me, I should say. So we ate, we talked. I hung out for about 2.5 hours. And, he would say, you want to do this? And I'd go, well, we just got to make sure that it's going to work. I said, and please don't mistake my hesitancy for uninterest. I want to do this now. Like, I want to just say yes. But he and I have worked together at jobs before, and I've been fired by him like 5-6 times, and then rehired the next day because he realized, I was a dick or he was a dick. And I told him, I can't do that. We can't do what we've always done. And he goes, I understand that. He goes, I wouldn't have you here if I thought that was even a possibility. And I said, all right. I said, can I work both Venice and Hollywood? He goes, yeah. I said, I can't work Mondays and Wednesdays. He said, that's no problem. I said, I might be able to work early Monday nights or Monday for lunch or whatever you got. I go, if there's lunch hours, I'll take them too. I go, I need money and I need hours. He goes, great. He goes, we got a ton of guys here. He goes, but there's always guys who need people to be covered. He goes, you'll probably be here 4 nights a week. And I said, perfect. And he goes, so you want to do it? I said, yeah, I do. So I have a job and I'm out of the fire. Yes, I'm excited. He said, come in Monday. Or actually, he wanted me to start Tuesday. So I told him I would start last night. And then he texted me on Sunday. He's like, what are you doing tomorrow during the day? I said, nothing. He said, can you come in? We got a media blitz. I don't even know what the fuck that means. But they do get a lot of publicity at this restaurant. The 2 guys who own it are young. and they kind of know a lot of people, and so they get the word out, and they get written about, and they get good reviews. And so so I said, I don't know what that means, but I'm in. What time do you want me there? He goes, be here at 9:30. So I got to work 9:30 Monday morning, and what it was, they were hired by a company to deliver barbecue as a fictional barbecue company from a TV show. Without going into too much detail, let's just say True Blood had a vampire barbecue. Well, for one day, this restaurant became Vampire Barbecue and delivered free barbecue to every television set in town. So I had to go to Jimmy Kimmel and drop stuff off there. I had to go to a television critic's house and drop stuff off there, and it was all paid for by this company. And we all split the tips. We all made good money that day, and then I worked last night, and made my hourly and did okay. And that was the reason I was here last night.
Cool.
Was a guy in the building ordered barbecue in your building, and it made me laugh because I'm driving and I hear the name of your street, and I just know how to get here. So I'm driving and my GPS is taking me, and then as I start to get closer, I go, "You're fucking kidding me." And then I knew the address, but I didn't know it was your. So I pulled on and I pulled up, and then when it said on the receipt, "Call when you arrive," I knew it was your building because you don't have a buzzer. I got out of the car and I had to deal with Clean and Sharp. They were right there on the steps, and that's where I met Clean and Sharp. And I was supposed to. The reason there was Hollywood Bowl traffic out on the other street, and so then I had to spin around and whatever the fuck, you don't care. All right, so that's why I was at your building without you here.
All right.
So I have a job, and a job that will allow me to do this at least for a little while longer, and hopefully stay afloat bill-wise. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I still, you guys are very nice, and you've donated money and sent money, and been way too cool about it, and I do appreciate it very much. People write me, and they're like, hey, I don't use PayPal. Is there a way I can send you something through the mail to your P.O. box? And I say yes. So someone said they were going to send me cash. And I was like, you got to tell me when you send that cash, because I have to keep tabs on the USPS. And not that I don't doubt them, but I doubt them. So that person was like, yes, and they sent it. So I went to my P.O. box, and it was not there just yet today, but I'm sure it will be there very soon. And when it's there, I will contact you and say thank you. Or maybe I won't. Able to say, yeah, I deserve this. And I'll put it in my bra and I'll walk away. And me and Clean and Sharp will go off and get in the van. Fucking Backyard Smooth just tugs it right in his bra, and off we go. And we'll ride our speedboat that we named Passable. So the three of us will be out. Hey, we're going to go out on Passable this weekend. Who's with us?
Oh, man.
Just blasting Sylvester records and drinking. Cosmos. All right, so do you want a funk? All right, so, folks. So there you go. So that happened. And I will tell you this, too. It was a little... Lenny, he texted me yesterday. He's like, can you get in at 4:30 to do a little extra paperwork? We'll get a half-hour start. I go, yeah, no problem. He goes, my daughters are going to be here, so I just want to give you a heads up on that. And I said, do I have to bring 11 years of Christmas and birthday presents?
Fuck.
He's like, I think they'll give you a break. I said, all right. So that I will tell you that was odd, because I walked into the restaurant and I saw his youngest, and she looked at me and I said, hello, and she said, Uncle Mike, and I said, yeah, I think so. I hope so. Because again, I wasn't sure. I don't know, because who knows? There might be somebody. Maybe that's the uncle meeting spot. I have no idea. But she said, Uncle Mike, and I said, I think so. I hope so. And she immediately hugged me, which seemed strange. I mean, you don't want to do that, right? Yeah, I could be some stranger, which I am, technically. But I guess they are also under the spell of Lenny's likability, so if he says he's okay, I guess he's okay. And then his oldest came out, and she walked up and hugged me too, and they asked questions like, who are you and where have you been? No, they did not. They were doing homework, and we talked and whatever, and then I made them laugh because there was a cow head in a room. Whatever, who cares? Nobody cares. But it was interesting to meet them, so that was fun, and who knows what that's going to bring? I don't know. I get no idea. It's just who knows. So a weird week. eventful week, odd week. I think I talked to you guys last week about my friend Karen. She and I used to be very close, and not so much these days. So we've been trying to figure out how she's going to get her stuff out of my apartment, and by we I mean I. Because when she left, she took what she could carry, because it was very important that she get away from me as quickly as possible. And she left some things behind. And when I say some things, I mean there's she took a lot of her clothes, but there's a ton of stuff, man. Like all of her Christmas decorations, and I don't know if I've covered the litany of it on here, like china, spoons, forks, plates, all sorts of shit. She took my rice cooker and bailed. That was it. That's all she took. She took her clothes, took my rice cooker, and left. And it was her rice cooker too. Yes. And I told her, I go, look, whatever you want is yours. I don't care. I want you to be happy, and I want you to take what's yours. That's fine. I'm so happy you left me with $60,000 in credit card debt that I'm willing to let you take whatever it is you want. And she was like, okay, I'm fine. And so I kept kind of prompting her, because again, my situation's in flux. I've been a coin flip for a while now. Hopefully that's going to flatten out a little bit here. But when I wasn't working, I thought I could leave at any time from my apartment. I wasn't sure where I was going to go. I don't know if I was going to be a fucking shelter somewhere or crashing on Lily's couch. And either way, no matter where the fuck I end up, I'm not bringing her stuffed animals with me. So I wanted to make sure that she knew that, and she was going to be able to get whatever her stuff was. So I've been on her a little bit. And again, not talking. Everything's done via email and text. Hey, are you going to come pick stuff up? When are you going to get the stuff out of the house? I just want to make sure. Because again, it's not about me. It's not like I'm like, oh, geez, these reminders are here. It's like, no, it's over. And I recognize that. And I'm still coming to terms with it. But at the same time, I don't know what the fuck is going to happen here in the house. I mean, if I wind up leaving, I'm worried enough about moving my stuff. I don't know if I can fit all of your stuff into my car as well. So, especially now that it's chock full of barbecue. I certainly can't fit it into my car now. I got a hatchback full of ribs, for fuck's sake. I got a glove compartment full of brisket. So we've been talking a little bit back and forth, and the weirdest thing all right, look, listen. I sent an email, a very explicit email, 4 paragraphs explaining everything, and then I'll get a 1-sentence text back saying, so what's going on? Fucking read the email I sent. Not talking is hard, all right, because you know me, I work with my mouth. I'm much better with my mouth than my thumbs in all aspects of my life. But in this, if I could talk to her and tell her what's up, but we don't talk. So it's all email and text, and I'm very civil. I try to be as nice as possible. So then she was making arrangements to come to the house. So she was going to come last week. Did I cover this? Did I talk about that? She was thinking about coming last week, and then it turned out that she could not. And so we were going back and forth about when she could come, and then she wrote me. She goes, I will be there next week, which was this previous Sunday. She said, I'll be there Sunday at 7 o'clock a.m. And was it Saturday or Sunday? I think it was Saturday, right? Yeah, she said, I'll be there Saturday at 7 a.m. I said, okay, great. I said, so you're going to bring a truck and some people? She goes, yeah, I'll bring a truck and I'll get whatever stuff is left. I said, okay. I said, because, you have boxes of family photos, you have Christmas decorations, there's some clothes, there's stuff here. I said, plus, we have DVDs and CDs. You can go through them and take whatever you want. I don't care. So whatever you deem appropriate, I go, but make sure you take the things you want, because if you don't take something, it's getting sold or thrown away. That's just how it works. I am in a position now where I'm in flux and everything must go. I am a carpet store from 1975 and everything must go. So she said, okay, fine. She told me she's going to be there on Saturday at 7 o'clock. And I said, all right, that's cool. And I was trying to figure out, what was hers and what could go. And I should tell you, I have a desktop computer. I have my own laptop as well. She has her laptop. But we have a desktop that I work on all the time because it's a fucking Apple with like a 24-inch screen, I think. And I just prefer working on that because it's a larger picture. Well, her iTunes is on there. And so I kind of always assumed that she was going to take it. But then she didn't take it. And then I asked her, I said, well, if you're going to take the desktop computer, you got to let me know so I can take some stuff off the computer. And she said, no problem, I'll let you know. So then I wrote her and I said, I've been doing some thinking. And since you've decided to take off and I'm kind of keeping the, well, look, the email was a lot meaner than I'm making it sound. I'll just tell you exactly what I wrote. I said, hey, I've been doing some thinking, and since you hung me up with all the debt, I'm going to keep the desktop computer because I work on it. If you want to get your files off of it, that's fine. And I hit send. And then I immediately regretted hitting send, and I then sent a note that said, please disregard the previous note. Whatever you want is fine with me. If you want to take it, that's great. It's just, unfortunately, I can't let you take the desktop computer this weekend when you come because I'm going to be in Palm Springs for 2 days, and I won't have time to get my files off of there. So please understand that. So she then wrote back and she goes, yeah, I do want the desktop computer, but I understand that about your files. That's fine. So she said she was going to come there at, it was Sunday morning because I was in Palm Springs Friday and Saturday. It was Sunday morning at 7 a.m. because I had to do Palm Springs. I was up there with Graham Elwood and Chris Mancini doing a festival. So I did a show there on Friday, and then I came home Saturday. I didn't get up till Saturday night, and it took... it was going to take me a while to get all the files off the computer, but I just didn't want to fuck with it. I didn't want to... was it a weird protest? Yes, it was. I probably could have done it if I'd have fought and put my nose to the grindstone on it. But instead, I spent my Saturday night separating all of her stuff from my stuff. I took all of her boxes of documents, all of her Christmas decorations. I put everything aside so she would have an easier job of carrying it out. And it got to be about 6 in the morning, and I knew she was going to be there at 7. And I stayed up. I should tell you, I stayed up all night Saturday night because that's what I do. If I would have gone to sleep and had to get up, I would have like an hour of sleep. You know me, my schedule's all fucked. So I stayed up all night. And then about 6 in the morning, 6:30, I said, you know what, dude, you gotta take a shower and you gotta get dressed. Because I was just in a pair of shorts at my house, and I'd been up all day and hadn't showered since the morning, and I haven't seen her since she left. So this was going to be the first time I'd actually be in a room with her since she dropped me off at the airport to go to Louisiana in March. So I didn't want to look like a fucking hobo. So I got shaved and showered. I got dressed. And in my mind, I was like, well, I wonder if she's going to need help carrying stuff out. That's another reason why I got to be dressed and ready. And I didn't even know who she was bringing because I don't know where she lives. I don't know who she's staying with. I don't know anything about it. So I killed some time by watching TV. And then Friday, I tape Dragnet and Adam 12 every day because, again, I'm 75 years old. So I watched Adam 12. And it just so happened, it was unbelievable to me, on Adam 12, they had a bust. Okay, Adam 12 is a show about cops. And there was a guy in the middle of the street pretending to be a matador for cars with his jacket going, ole, ole. And they were on that call. And it was Foster Brooks, famous drunk actor. And he's doing this drunk character. But all I can look at is the fact that they are arresting Foster Brooks at my apartment complex where I live. Literally, it was the intersection out front, and then they took him aside, and behind him is my building. Still with the same name, still with the same exterior. This is a show from 1970, and they're arresting this guy, fucking 43 years ago. They're out front of my apartment building arresting Foster Brooks. And I thought it was hysterical. I'm like, no way. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to fucking save this. I'm going to show it to Karen. Because who else would appreciate it like she would? I mean, we've lived there for 15 years, and she knows the building, and it's kind of funny. It's an interesting thing. So my first thing was my mind went to, I got to show her this. And then in my head, I was like, you know what? Maybe when we pack the truck, maybe we can go have some breakfast or something, and we can, talk and hang out. Because again, I haven't seen her. And it's not like I'm thinking, oh my God, I can't wait till she gets here. I'm going to try to talk her into staying. It's just, this is awful. Let's just get it over with, and let's kind of move on to the part where we're okay with it, and so that was in my head. So she's supposed to be there at 7 o'clock, the phone rings. And it's her. She says, hey, we're running a little late. I said, well, how close are you? She said, we haven't left yet. I said, yeah, it's late. She goes, so, yeah, we should be there. And I go, well, look, we got to talk about this. I go, it's going to take you a couple hours to get here, right? She goes, well, so? And I go, well, I haven't been to bed. I stayed up all night expecting you to be here at 7, and then you'd be on your way and I could go to sleep. You know my schedule, it's all fucked up. So, I mean, is there a way we can do this another time? She gets kind of pissed, and I'm like, look, I'm not trying to be difficult here. You can't come on a weekday, right? And she goes, no, I don't think so. I go, well, I can't do it this weekend because I'm going to Aspen. Can we do it next weekend? And she's pissed, and she's kind of grumpy about it. She's like, I don't know. I'll talk to you. I'll call you back. And she just hangs up on me. So I'm in the chair waiting. My phone buzzes a little bit later and just says, I'll call you in 15 minutes. So 15 minutes goes by, turns into 30, turns into 45, turns into an hour. So now it's like 10 after 8. And I text her and I go, hey, it's been longer than 15 minutes. What's going on? She just writes, on our way. So I guess that idea of me being inconvenienced has pretty much gotten thrown out the fucking window. But that's fine. I understand she's got to get it done today. She's got to get it done today. Because God knows she's so busy. I have no idea. Maybe she's busy. Who knows? I don't fucking talk to her. I have no idea. Busy, not busy. All I know is she was busy that fucking morning. Way too busy to leave on time. So I text her back and I'm like, all right, cool. Did you bring a truck? How many people you got coming with you? And she never answers me. So 8:15 becomes 9. And now it's 9 a.m. and I haven't slept. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. I got to sleep, man. I got to get at least an hour or 2 or whatever. And when she can come here, she'll call me and I'll buzz her in. So I crash. And you know me, I sleep in a chair in the fucking living room. And I'm asleep. And I'm awakened out of a dead sleep by a pounding on my door. Bam, 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 bam. And it shouldn't be her because she doesn't have a key unless she was able to see the manager and the manager let her in. But it was also a pretty severe knock. So I get up, and I will tell you this. In my head, I thought I knew who it might be when I heard the knock. But in my head, I also went, nah, that's not true. So I got up and I opened the door, and outside, in front of my front door, hey, it's the cops. There's 2 policemen, and they've got the screen door open, and I open the door, and I'm like, hey, fellas, can I help you? And they said, yeah, we're here about Karen. And that freaked me out because I don't know what the fuck happened to her. And so I panicked and I went, oh my God, did something happen to her? And they said, no, we're just here to make sure that she's able to enter the premises and take all of her belongings and that she remains safe when she does so. And dudes, any hope of civility just drained out of me at that point. And not civility, I guess, because I'm trying to think of a better word than reconciliation, because that's not happening, and I recognize that, and I don't want it. We've moved on. But I thought we were friendly, or we could be. And you know, again, that to me is the biggest death of all. As I mentioned, if nothing else, we were best friends for 20 years. And now you got to get the cops to let you in your own house where you lived? I was more upset or more hurt by the fact that she felt she needed to take that precaution. And it speaks to what she thinks of me or what she thought of me for the longest time. I guess. I mean, I don't think I'm a fucking monster. At least I didn't think I was. We didn't get along. That was it. She got tired of me and bailed. But there was no threat. There was no anger. There was no rage. She just bailed, and that was it. And I understood it, and I was kind of left holding the fucking bag. But now I open the door, and there's cops basically looking at me. And again, now my entire apartment complex sees me with the cops in my front door. And they're looking at me and they're wondering what the fuck is going on, because they're also wondering why Karen needs to come back with the police. What fucking ogre was I that I fucking destroyed her and I was mean? It's bad enough I chased her out. Who the fuck knows what these people are thinking? But I know what I'm thinking, and it isn't good. So I just looked at him and I go, you're kidding, right? And he goes, no, we're just here to make sure she can enter the premises and that you're fine with it and everybody's safe. And I said, yeah, fuck, I don't care. Come on in. And they walked in, and then Karen comes out from behind a bush. Like, literally, she was hiding behind a hedge like Artie fucking Johnson. And she's like, oh, very interesting. And she fucking runs in. She's with her niece. And I keep waiting for the rest of the people to come out of the bush like it's a clown bush. Because she needs help, man. She's got to pack that truck, right? They come walking in the house. Karen doesn't look at me or say hi. It doesn't say a fucking word to me. Walks right by me. And I'm standing there, and I look at the cops, and then her niece comes in and goes, hi, Uncle Mike. You've been served. And hands me my divorce papers. And I said, hey, how are you? I'm good. Glad to hear it. So I started looking at the fucking divorce papers, and it's like, I think it's different from the other ones I got it, because these actually have like court things on them. So I'm like, I shake my head. And Karen just starts going through the house and grabbing stuff. And she goes in the kitchen and she goes in a cabinet and pulls out the clicker that was from her old car. And she's like, you have to click me in because I have to get in here. And I said, fine. I take the clicker. No, she took the clicker and she actually clicked herself in. She came back around, and she drove her car. There's no truck. She has her car. She has a, I don't want to say what it is, but it was voted the best small compact car in America in 2012. That's why we bought it. That's what she's got to move the rest of her stuff out of my apartment. Her and her niece and a fucking little red wagon. That's who showed up to get the shit out of my apartment. And her niece's arms are tired from carrying out 2 envelopes full of divorce papers to serve her uncle with. Two very different receptions from different nieces this week. 2 hugs and a pile of divorce papers. 2 hugs and a tearing asunder of my future. So they fucking walk in and they start walking through the house and grabbing stuff. And the cops are there with me and they're standing there and hands on guns. You know, what the fuck? They don't know what's going to happen. And I'm laughing because it's ridiculous. And they said, I said, you guys want some water? They said, no, we're okay, sir. Are you okay? And I go, I'm fine, man. I go, I'm stunned, to be honest with you, because I did not expect this. I go, everything was a civil conversation. Everything was above board. I asked if she was bringing a truck. I said, there was no animosity, no malice. You can look at my texts, read every exchange that we've had. This makes no sense. Well, sir, it's just a precaution. People do this sometimes. And then my niece comes out and goes, it's best for everyone, Mike. Uncle Mike, it just keeps everyone safe. And I'm like, quit talking to me like I'm fucking 6, all right? In my head, I didn't say anything mean, but in my head, I'm like, I'm not a fucking child. I know why these guys are here. They're here, honestly, in my opinion, to get a rise out of me, but it's not going to fucking happen. So they start dragging stuff out, and like the dumbest thing, like her niece takes a box of Christmas decorations, and I go, look, if you're going to walk out with stuff, take the lid off it so I can look what's in the box. That's all I ask. So, because I didn't want to be in the room with them when they were sorting stuff out. And by the way, let me go ahead and say this. My wife looks amazing. My wife is tan and fucking, her hair is super long and brown. I mean, her hair, she looked great. Of course. Why wouldn't she? She knew she was coming back to see me. She wanted to rub my face in it. So, that's probably why they were late. They had a fucking makeover appointment before she fucking showed up. God damn, she looked good. So they just start carrying boxes out to the fucking car. And 1 box of Christmas decorations. And then they're in the living room. And again, there's like 8 boxes that are hers in the bedroom. And then there's a big hutch that she used to keep her clothes in. And then there's a pile of clothes and stuffed animals. And like I said, there's a ton of shit in the kitchen. And there's a desk. And there's a bunch of stuff. So her niece comes out, bless you, her niece comes out with another box and opens it up. And it's all of my CDs. Like all of the ones that we had left, because we sold a bunch when the bed bugs hit, and then there were some that were in the living room. There's some that are in my car. And my favorite part is I know that Karen didn't even look through those. I know she opened it up and went, CDs, take these. Like there wasn't even, she didn't care what was hers and what was mine. And again, it doesn't matter either, because I said she could have all of them. I don't care. Take them all. But it just made me laugh that was the second box they went for, was the CDs. And her niece comes out and opens the lid, and I go, yeah, take them. That's fine. She goes, do you want to go through? I'm like, no, I don't. Take anything you want. So Karen continues to look through, and they bring one more box out. And then Karen she's just kind of wandering aimlessly, and they're looking for some tax documents. And she goes, did you throw them away? I go, no, why would I throw them away? I haven't thrown anything away. Look, fuck, your clothes are still here. I didn't throw shit away. They're stuffed animals. They're yours. Take them. I didn't say that. I didn't lose my mind. I didn't lose my temper. So then they keep walking through, but they're not really taking anything out. They're just kind of milling around. And the cop notices he doesn't notice it. I have a giant Michael Madsen poster on my wall, and he's like, "Wow." He goes, "That's great." And I go, "Yeah." I go, "They're British subway posters." And he's like, "That's amazing." He goes, "You like that guy? You like that movie?" I go, "I love that movie. It's my favorite movie." He goes, "I have a friend who worked with him on a movie. He's a little crazy." I go, "Oh, dude." I go, "You know what's funny?" I go, "Well, my wife was getting that framed for me. It was a gift." And he walked into the shop and saw it there and tried to buy it from the shop owner, and the guy wouldn't sell it to him. He's like, "You're kidding me." I go, "No." I go, I told the guy, I go, "You should have had him call me. I would have fucking talked to him. I would have given it to him if he would have fucking met me." And the cop's like, "Wow." So he and I are talking, and Karen comes out, and she's asking about these tax documents. I go, "Look in every box. I don't know where they are. I have no idea." I said, "There's a couple of boxes of stuff in there." She goes, "That's all your stuff for your business." I go, "Okay, fine." And she's just being mean and not looking me in the face. And again, whatever the fuck, do whatever you got to do. So I'm talking to the cops, and I go, I don't understand this. I go, "Honestly, I really don't." And I almost told them to run my name, because I wanted them to see that there were no domestic disturbances ever at that address. You know what I mean? Just because I felt like I needed to prove something to them and all the people outside. And the cop goes, you know, "Don't worry about it, sir. It's precautions. And when someone calls us, we have to come. You seem like a pretty easygoing guy." And I'm like, "You have no fucking idea who I am. None. I'm not easy, and I'm not going at all. You know why I'm easygoing? It's pretty easy to be easygoing when there's two guys with guns in your fucking living room. That'll take the edge off your fucking personality." So she's walking around, and then she comes out of the bedroom with, you know what she had? My Monty Python DVDs. Literally, she's like the Jerk. My wife is like Steve Martin in The Jerk, all right? They took a box of Christmas decorations, a box of CDs, a spoon, and my Monty Python DVDs. She walks out, and because I bought all of the entire series of Monty Python. I bought it all, and it's still in the cellophane, like The Wire, as I mentioned earlier. I guess I should be happy she didn't find The Wire. Because she grabs the Monty Python DVD, she walks out with them, she told him, she goes, "I'm taking this. Is this okay?" And I laughed. I go, "Yeah, I don't care. Take it." So literally, it's like she's got one shoe, a hat box, a box of Christmas decorations, my CDs, the Monty Python DVDs, and a spoon. That's it. That's all she fucking grabbed. I don't even think she was getting her stuff. She was on a fucking scavenger hunt. She's had a fucking list with stuff on it. Shoe, spoon, spam, 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 spam. Hat box, CDs, and spam. Jesus Christ. So I walks out with that stuff. I'm standing there, and it was so funny. I did this thing, and it probably made me look worse. I don't even know why the fuck I did it. But when she would walk by me, I'd put my hands in the air and take a step back. Just like where you don't want to bump into somebody, or you're like, I don't even want to be in the same fucking area code. Fine, go do. But it also made it look like I was keeping my hands away from her, and the cops are like, I don't fucking know what it looked like. All I know is it didn't look good. So she starts banging through and grabbing that stuff, and that's it. That's all she took, the hat boxes, and every time I try to talk to her, her niece would go, "Well, you know what, Uncle Mike, it's just for everyone's protection. It's for the best." And so Karen walks outside, and I looked at my niece and I said, how's your daughter?" And she's good. She graduated, and I was like, "Oh my God, really?" And again, this gets to what a bad husband I am. Like, I mean, I remember this little girl when she was tiny, and she just I think she's going to high school now, because I would never take the trip down to visit them. I always found an excuse not to go, and it's one of the reasons why Karen decided to leave, is because I didn't do the things that she liked or wanted to do, and I did not make an effort. I fully recognize that. And it's, again, a regret. So I said, "How's your niece?" or "How's your daughter?" She's good. And I said, "How's your grandma?" Who is my mother-in-law. And I should tell you this, by the way. I did talk to Karen a couple of weeks ago, and she said to me, she goes, "Hey, who have you told about this?" And I'm like, I don't know. Anybody who kind of wanted to know, like when I talked about it on the show. And she goes, "Would you tell your brothers?" And I go, "No, I didn't." And she goes, "Did you tell your mom?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Oh, well, your mom probably told your brothers." I go, "Who cares who she told? It happened, right? I mean, am I not supposed to say anything?" She goes, "Well, I haven't told anybody in my family yet." I said, "Oh, I didn't know it was a secret." And she's like, well, Michael, and then she gave me a bunch of shit. I'm like, all right, that's fine. But the funny thing is, like I said, that was about 3 weeks ago. And then a week later, I went onto Facebook. And, I have a family section in Facebook. And I used to get a ton of posts in there. And all of a sudden I looked and I'm like, why am I not getting any posts in family? I went down, because some of my family members are no longer my family members. So I'm assuming Karen had to talk with a few of them. But what made me laugh about that is that they unfriended me on Facebook. Like I was, I mean, okay, I understand it. And it was just like, and not that I still wanted to remain friends, but it just seems funny that was the first, because again, I don't know if I told you, Facebook informed me that I'm divorced. My wife has changed that. And meanwhile, at my house, her voice is on my answering machine still. And I know I have to change it. I'm just trying to figure out how to do it. But even my mom called and she's like, you got to change that message. I'm like, yeah, I know. So I asked Karen, I go, how's your grandma? And she's like, she's good. I go, really? And I say something, because I mean, there's a thing, whatever the fuck. And she goes, no, she's fine. Everybody's fine. I'm like, okay. I go, how's your aunt? And I point at Karen. And she just goes, she's good. It's hard for everyone. We're all just trying to get through this. And I don't know why, by the way, I don't know why my niece talks like Emo Phillips in this story. I have no idea.
I love it. I hope she does in real life.
No, it's because, you know why? It's because she talked to me like I was a child and it drove me crazy. And it was just this sing-songy, like, almost like, again, I'm telling you, man, I must be a rage-filled monster to them. Like, Karen must have told them I am this guy who will lose his mind at the drop of a hat, and that's why the cops were involved, and that's why they all talk to me like I'm four. It's okay, everything's fine. My niece is the bartender at an Old West saloon. Hey, everything's okay. Let's have a drink, fellas. Let's put those guns away before the marshal gets involved. Too late. The marshal's in my fucking living room. So, they're walking out with the stuff, and I'm standing there, and I ask her, how Karen is, and I get that answer. So then Karen comes back, and she's in the house loading, whatever, she's unloading, and then she goes to grab something, and I say, and it was the first thing I objected to. I'm like, actually, that's mine. It was I received it from somebody. That wasn't ours. So I don't mean to be mean. I go, once I watch it or whatever, you can have it. And then immediately her niece just goes, no, don't worry about it, Auntie Karen. Everything's fine. Just, just get the basic necessities and leave that for him. I have that at my house. You can use mine. It's fine. And like trying to overly calm everybody down. And no one's raised their voice. Nobody's upset. Nothing bad has happened. But again, I must be perceived as literally, they don't even see me as a man. I'm just a barrel with 3 X's on it and a wick. They just see me like in a cartoon ready to fucking blow up, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. So she's going through and grabbing stuff and talking about the taxes. And then she went to get something else. And even her niece said, no, you're just getting the basic necessities. That's all you need. And I went, no, that wasn't what this was about. And she goes, it's best for everyone. It's okay, Uncle Mike. Everything's fine. And, so she goes, are you done? And she goes, yeah. And Karen's like, yeah, I'm finished. I said, all right, I need to talk to you before you leave. And her niece goes, well, if you don't mind me asking, what do you need to talk to her about? Because maybe you can ask me and we can go through that. And I go, I can't ask you. I need to talk to you. I go, and they go, she goes, well, I don't think the police have time. Like, they have to get out of here. We were just coming kind of quickly. And I said, it's going to take 5 minutes. I go, if that, it'll take 2 minutes. That's all I need. And she looks at the police and she goes, do you guys have the time? And they go, yeah, it's okay. We're fine. And she goes, I have to go out to the car. Can you stay in here with them while they talk and keep and
Jesus Christ.
And I'm like, what the do I must be, do I have bolts in my neck? Am I a fucking monster? I don't know. And again, I don't know what she told them about me. Maybe I do. And again, I know I have a tone. I've heard that I have a tone. Because I've given them no excuse or no reason to believe that I would do anything untoward in this situation. And I'm not happy. I mean, I'm being painted as a fucking somebody I'm not. I mean, I might be a bad husband and kind of a fuck up and immature and I didn't grow up and I'm a failure and all those things, but I'm not some fucking loose cannon. I'm not Ronnie Dobbs. So my niece goes to the car, and Karen looks at me. It's the first time she's looked at me the whole time. She looks me in the face with this face like, what? I go, all right. I just want to clarify what this trip was. We discussed you coming here and taking all of your stuff because I wasn't sure what my situation was. And you told me you were getting a truck and you were bringing people and you were going to pack the rest of your things and that would be it. I said, I'm not in any hurry to get things out of the house. If you couldn't get a truck today, or if you needed several trips, you know you could have told me that and I would have said yes. I just wasn't sure if I was going to be here. I know I'm going to be here till the end of July at least. So if you said to me, Michael, I need 3 weekends to come up and grab stuff, I would have said fine. But you never disagreed with me and you told me you're going to get a truck. And she's like, yeah, so? And I said, so I need to know what the fuck you're doing. And she goes, well, I don't know what you mean. And I go, that desk is yours. That table is yours. This wine rack is yours. This painting is yours. All of the shit in the kitchen is yours. That fucking stuff in the bedroom that you didn't grab is yours. And I need to know if you're fucking taking it or you're not taking it. Because if you're not taking it, am I supposed to fucking throw it out? And then in my head I go, men with guns in your living room. And I realized maybe there was a reason they were trying to keep me calm. I'm trying not to lose my temper, but I have to admit, after being treated like a fucking saloon door, I want to know what the fuck is going on. Like, why didn't you bring your truck? Why aren't you taking stuff? So I said, yeah, that desk, the painting, the wine, everything is yours. All the stuff in the kitchen is yours. Your china, everything. What's going on with that? And she says, well, I'll call you about that later. I said, no. The whole point was you were coming here this weekend to get the rest of your things. And I told you, if I have to move, it gets thrown out. So I'm not going to be here 4 more times for 4 more trips of the police as you stand here and take piecemeal things from your life. Are you making one trip or are you not making one trip? Are you leaving stuff and you're telling me to throw it out? What do you want me to do here? And she goes, you know what, Michael, if you want to throw stuff away, fine. Throw stuff away. I don't care. I said, I don't want to throw things away. I want to know what's happening. Well, I have to go. Walks out. Cops walk out. And she goes, I need you to click me out. So I walk outside, and the cops go outside in the back, and I have the clicker, and Karen goes, is he still over there? And they go, yeah. And she walks over, and she gets right in front of me and looks me right in the face. And I look at her, and I got my hands in the air. And she looks at me and just shakes her head. And she walks out and gets in the car. And I click her off, and she goes. And the cops are like, hey, it's procedure. We're sorry. And I said, that's fine. And they leave. And all of my neighbors continue to look at me through the window and wonder why the fuck the cops are in my house. And I went in my apartment, and I didn't even know how to feel. Because, again, I hadn't seen her in 4 months. And I was excited to see her. I won't lie. But then, it wasn't her. I mean, she's her. The her that she wants to be now, but she's not the her that she was when she lived with me. Because she doesn't care anymore. And, oh, man, that's awful. You just, because, I mean, and again, like I said, it's over. And I know that it's over. I wasn't trying to reconcile with anybody, but I thought we were on friendly terms. Every text I've sent, every email I've sent has been above board and polite and said, hey, man, I'll help you. Whatever you got to do. If you got to get this stuff out, if you need me to help you carry anything. I was being nice. Even in the face of everyone telling me I don't have to be nice anymore. But I'm not that person. So it's funny. I related this story to a couple of people, and they're like, so did you throw stuff out? I said, no. They said, why not? I said, because that's not going to happen. They go, were the cops in the room when she said to you, if you want to throw it out, you can? I said, yes. And they go, then throw it out. I said, no, I won't. I refuse to do that. And they're like, why? Why are you holding on to this? Why are you? And I go, I'm not holding on to anything. They go, no, you're keeping stuff there so it will keep you tied with her. And I said, no, I'm not. And they said, well, then why won't you throw it away? I said, because for 20 years, that was my friend. And regardless of how she feels about me now, she's still my friend. I won't call her anymore to ask her if she wants it. I won't make arrangements anymore or chase her anymore to say, hey, you need to get this stuff, because I don't care. She doesn't want it. I don't care. But I will not give anyone the satisfaction of being able to tell the story that I threw her stuff away. It'll sit in the corner until I leave. And then there'll be one more phone call that says, if you want it, come get it. And if she doesn't, it'll sit there. And I'll remove the rest of my life around it. And then she called me immediately the next day because she needs the spare key for the car. And I was like, I don't know where that is just yet. She's like, I need it. I don't know why, but she needs it. So I said, oh, I just texted her and I found it. So I said, I found it. And she's like, all right, you got to call me. I got to talk to you about more stuff. I'm just like, it doesn't end. And it won't end, and I understand that. But the fact that she had to show up with cops kind of drove me crazy. And part of me wonders if it was just to see if she could get a rise out of me or if she genuinely felt unsafe. I have no idea. No clue. But I will tell you, it's funny. That night, I went on my phone and I have the Los Angeles Daily News app. And they have the local news and the breaking news. And 3 of the 9 stories were of husbands shooting wives in the head.
Ooh.
I was like, well, maybe I don't blame her for making that phone call. Has nothing to do with me. But I can see where maybe the niece or somebody went, hey, maybe we do this. But it's so funny how you experience over and over the heartbreak of something like this. When you think it's over and it's not. You think it's over and it's not. And even when we're divorced and all of her stuff is gone, if I see her in a fucking grocery store, it's going to wipe me out. I know it is. It just is. And eventually you'll move on and I suppose you'll get a scab. But for now, it just keeps getting torn off. Every text, every email, every phone call, every visit, with an armed guard or not. So if you remember, I told the story on It's Your Fault about how I made Audio Karen. And I made a bunch of different CDs. And I just threw her in my CD changer and I drove around and cried. And I hesitate to even tell this because I know Megs is going to go, oh, another story where Mike cried. Bed Bugs, another story where Mike cried. But that was from the interlude. But now it's funny because I had a courier job. And so I just drove around and cried all day and delivered packages. And now I'm going to be delivering barbecue. And I was like, should I put Audio Karen in the car? And I went, no, you know why? Because you don't want her to come back this time. You miss her. But because she's permanently gone, there's no reason for you to fucking continue to burn that into your brain. But it comes up. Even if I don't have Audio Karen in the car, I still have a radio, I still have CDs, and occasionally something will come up that'll fucking lay you low. I was delivering food yesterday. And I should tell you, my car smells much better than it did the last time I was so sad. Which is a shame, because when you're sobbing, your nose, of course, is completely full. And you're like, oh, I can't smell the delicious barbecue. But I was driving yesterday in the car. And, I don't have Audio Karen, but I have a bunch of CDs. And I'll make these CDs. And I'm a child, so I'll write cartoons. But Tunes, haha. Or you know what? I make the titles stupid and ironic just for myself because nobody else sees those. I don't know why I write them, but I'll write Monster Jams 1 for no reason, and I'll bring them in my car and I'll just load up my 6 CD changer. So I was listening, and Bruno Mars ended, and then Egyptian Lover started because he needs a freak, and then that ended. And I heard a guitar sound, and I was like, oh, I shouldn't listen to this song. But it kept playing, and I couldn't bring myself to turn it off. It starts. It's an acoustic song, acoustic guitar, and it starts soft. It's a song called "Once I Was" by Tim Buckley, and I knew it as a kid. It was always it meant something to me because it's at the end of the movie Coming Home, and Bruce Dern. I don't want to give it away, but the climactic scene of Coming Home is set to this song, and it's fucking devastating, and it's about the end of a marriage. So good thing I had it on a CD in my car, and it started to play, and in my head I'm going to flip it. And he starts singing, and I'm going, you got to turn this off. And I'm not turning it off. And then he gets to the part where he says, once I was a lover, and I searched behind your eyes for you. And soon there'll come another to tell you that I was just a lie. And I shouldn't have stuck around, but I did. And, it hit me pretty hard. Because if you remember on Audio Karen, the song "Save Me" by Queen was on there, and there's a line in that song where he says, "Was it all wasted, all that love?" As he's talking about the person who's left, and all I could think of was, 20 years was a lie, and not only that 20 years was a lie, but that someone else gets the privilege of saying that to her, and she'd probably believe it. So I lose it in the car, and I'm, I got a car full of barbecue and tears driving around Hollywood, and the song keeps going, and the refrain is, and sometimes I wonder for a while, do you ever remember me? And I know she'll remember me, but this weekend makes me think she'll remember me differently than I want to be remembered. And that's selfish. Because it's so funny. It's like I'm less worried about the fact that it's over than I am that it was perceived to be such a failure. Because things end. Everybody recognizes that things end. Even if you don't think they're going to, they will. But just to know, why are you laughing at me? Yeah. By the way, this is all in all of your futures. Keep that in mind. Gay icon Mike Schmidt has brought a black cloud for you. But it's just, it seems wrong that I'm concerned with how I'll be remembered. It doesn't matter. It's over. So what does it matter? So I'm in the car and losing it, crying, driving in traffic. And then he sings, "Though you've forgotten about our dreams, I find myself looking through the ashes of our ruins." Oh, Jesus. For all the days we smiled. And he goes on to make you even more sad, if that's possible. And then he asks at the end, I wonder sometimes, do you even remember me? And I'm a fucking puddle at that point. Terrible. So the song ends, and I immediately restarted. And I listened to it some more, and I'm driving, and I'm crying, and song ends, and I restarted. And I get to the house, and I have to deliver food. So I get a towel, and I fucking bury my face in it and try to look presentable so I can get, unless maybe if I'm sobbing, I get a bigger tip. Maybe I should bring Audio Karen with me everywhere I go. So I deliver the food, I get back in the car, song ends, and I restart it. I run all my deliveries. I listen to the song like 8 times in a row. I get to the restaurant, I grab more, and I just go in the car, and I should let it play through. I mean, I can. I have 6 CDs. There's certainly more songs on that CD, but I was hoping to wallow, and I did. Jesus, did I? So I'm fucking crying and rewinding, keep restarting, and after a while, I just start running the track back to the line. I looked behind your eyes for you, and I keep playing it over and starting the song over when it ends. And I'm fucking crying, and I'm driving. And there's a truck in front of me. And I'm kind of just delivering, I'm still focused on the road and stuff, but still crying and listening. And this truck, it looks like a school bus or a truck. I can't figure out what it is, but there's people in it. And I noticed that they're looking at me through the back windows. And, because I'm at a stoplight sobbing my fucking eyes out. And they start kind of pointing, and they almost look concerned, but at the same time, they're just I think they're kind of taking it in, because I'm trying to hide my face and wipe my eyes, but I'm occasionally involuntarily moaning and singing along, and it's bad. And the windows are closed, so it's not like I'm letting everybody else in on my pain, unless they look through the fucking windows and see me completely destroyed. And these people are looking and they're pointing, and I don't give a fuck at that point. Who cares? But we pull up, and I get to a street called Orange Street, and I have to turn left. And they're still on Hollywood Boulevard, so I go to pass them, and I get alongside them. And I look, and it's a truck in the back, in the windows. It looks like a bus with doors. But when I pull alongside, there's no roof on the vehicle. And on the side, I see that it's a Hollywood Star Tours truck who drive around the city and look at landmarks and famous things and stars and the walks of fame and celebrities' houses. And they show them all of the sites that they need to see to experience Hollywood. And I was embarrassed for a second. I'm like, Jesus Christ, these fucking people fly to town. They get into a fucking truck. They actually pay for the privilege to drive around Hollywood and see the sights. And they wind up staring at me as I fucking sob behind the steering wheel of my car. And I was upset. I won't lie. I felt bad for them, and I'm glad because it finally got me out of my head. I listened to the song 20 fucking times in a row, and now I just thought about those people in the truck and what a shitty time they were probably having. They got in that van, paid for the privilege to go and look at Hollywood, and that's what they wind up staring at. But then I thought about it, and this is Hollywood. If there's any more common sight in this town than a 45-year-old man sobbing in his car because his life is a failure and it didn't turn out the way he thought it would, I don't know what it is. I'm exactly what they paid to see. You guys can get me at Mike at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. You can be my friend at Facebook.com/the40-year-old-boy. Follow me at Twitter.com/the40-year-old-boy. You can be David Hernandez's friend at Facebook.com/DavidMexHernandez. And if you want to be Lily Von Stupp's friend on Facebook, go to Facebook.com/Lily Von Stupp. You can follow her at two different Twitter accounts, Twitter.com/MNTs and Twitter.com/Lily Von Stupp. And if you'd like to write her a personal note and find out which of the performers she works with she'd actually step over the line and bang,
Oh, shit.
you can write her at Lily at burlesque411.com. That's Lily, Lili, at burlesque411.com.
Mars, drink your coffee. Mars, hold some pencils. Mars, let's soak your forks deep. Mars, hold more pencils. Mars, on these mugs. There's flame bush mini on these mugs. Go buy these wicked awesome mugs at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. Mugs, 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 mugs.
Want to remind you folks about the Monday Night Teas every Monday night at the 3 clubs at Santa Monica and Vine. You can't miss it. It's a building with a bunch of terrible white paint writing on the outside. At least for now. When the Fringe Festival ends, I guess they'll power wash it. I have no idea, but it looks so tacky and bad. But the rest of the building is sure fantastic. And I can tell you on Monday nights at least, it's worth visiting. Because every Monday night they have the Monday Night Teas, the longest running, the hottest, the sexiest, the most successful burlesque show in the history of the West Coast. And I happen to know the producer of that show. She's a good friend of mine. She also sometimes produces this show. This week we have her on, which is good. I appreciate it. She's been filling in for my friend Eric for about 4.5 years. Check that. 5.5 years. She's been filling in for him for quite a while. Well, soon Eric will be able to take the reins again. But for the past 5 3/4 years, our friend Lily has stepped up and produced this show as well, even though she's super busy. Our friend Lily Von Stupp. Hey, Lily.
Is he ever coming back?
I'm not sure. It's tentative. We'll see.
Did he show up with cops to take his equipment out?
Yeah, he may have. No, that's the last guy that wants to talk to cops. He's got a trunk full of guns. Probably shouldn't say that out loud. All sport guns that are registered and all that stuff. Because he's a fucking...
Toy gun.
He's like an amazing shooter guy. Remember, he took me to the range, but he's that guy.
That's called marksman.
Okay.
That's shooter.
You don't think so? An expert shooter guy?
I'm pretty sure it's called marksman.
Okay. Well, he's that dude. Like, you ever see Magnum Force? Where Clint Eastwood goes against the cops on the shooting range, and they're like, he shot a good guy. Eric would never shoot a good guy. Eric, he does those things. He walks the range, and like a thing comes up, he has to shoot a old lady or a cop or a bad guy, and then he dives behind sandbags and shoots something else. He's that guy. He's successful at it. That's why he's not here. He's off right now shooting fucking placards. But luckily for me, you've taken the reins and filled in, and I appreciate that very much. How are you?
I'm good.
You just found $10 on the floor.
I did. That was fucking awesome.
That's nice. But I've prevented you from eating your dinner tonight, which is disappointing.
You didn't prevent me from doing anything. I know how to press send.
Yeah, but I talked too long. I did that.
okay.
All right. So the Monday Night Teas, let's talk about that, folks.
Okay.
Let's talk about, well, first, before we get into next week's Monday Night Teas, let's talk about last night's, or Monday night's Monday Night Teas, 2 nights ago.
We have to.
Yeah. It was fantastic. What are you talking about? It was an amazing
It
show.
was a hard night.
Because you had 2 separate shows,
I did.
and you danced in both shows,
Yeah,
and hosted the second show,
Yeah.
and picked up clothes at the first show.
Yeah, I did a lot.
You were all over the place.
Plus, I produced them.
You were a Jacqueline of all trades. And it didn't hurt, or I should say it didn't help, that your employees were fucking up left and right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was supposed to...
There was a small little problem with my doorman, but he figured it all out. It all worked out okay.
Your doorman's terrible. He was supposed to... All right, he had a certain amount of seats to sell and a certain amount of tickets to confiscate, and he sold seats he wasn't supposed to sell. He sold 6 seats he wasn't supposed to sell, and then he had to kick those people out of those seats and make them sit elsewhere in the club, or I'm sorry, they had to stand. It was standing room only. But then they knew performers, so they were nice enough to help them out. Whatever the fuck, who cares? I fucking, it was terrible. I can't believe that I'm still employed. We'll see if I am next Monday.
The more important thing, truly, which we've kind of glossed over because it didn't really affect anybody in the audience, was
Yes.
I did kind of need the other half of the ticket.
Well, you know, it's funny. Lily, she sold physical tickets, and I'm so used to just taking them and throwing them away when people bring in their printouts. So I took all of their physical tickets and I tore them in half and then handed them right back to the people.
Funny.
So then Lily goes, where are the tickets? I go, what are you talking about? And she goes, where's the ticket stubs? I go, I gave them back to everybody. She goes, you were supposed to tear them in half and keep half. I said, oh, I just tore them and gave them back. Which, when you really think about it, is counterintuitive. Why would you tear the tickets and then hand them back to them anyway? That's just like wanton destruction.
Well, they can walk up then and go, I accidentally tore my ticket. Will you let me back in?
Yes, they could, but I would know at the door that they would not be allowed in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny more than anything
Nah,
else.
not in the moment. In the moment, it was not. I mean, we can look back at it now and go, ho, ho, Mike's a terrible
In
doorman.
the moment I went, okay, it would help me, but it's not necessary really, so...
Here's the mental problems I have, folks. I made the initial mistake with the 6 people, seated them, and then had to go boot them out of their seat, and I was furious at myself. As you know, I don't like making mistakes. I don't like doing things that cause problems for anybody else. So then I had to explain to Lily what I did, and I felt so embarrassed and terrible about it that I was just like, fuck, I can't fucking believe I did that. What the fuck? How do I make a fucking mistake like that? She's like, people make mistakes. It's not a problem. And I go, fuck that. Now I got to kick them out, and I fucking move them over. God damn it. I'm furious at myself. And she just gets out of my way. She's like, whatever. If you're going to hate yourself, go ahead. So she walks up and does
I got
her...
other problems.
Yeah, business Lily goes and puts out some more fires. So then she comes up to me and she's like, where are those ticket stubs? I go, what do you mean? She goes, the ticket stubs. And I go, I gave them back to the people. She goes, I told you to tear them in half and give them to people, keep half. And I go, well, I tore them in half and I handed them back. And she goes, I needed the fucking ticket stubs, Mike. Why do you think I wanted you to tear them in half? I go, you know what? Fucking fire me. That's me. That's who I am as a guy. And it's not anything that she's doing. I was so angry at myself that I had made a second mistake that I wanted to run and hide away from the room. And I ruined everything and I ruined everybody's night. And I just wanted to get the fuck out of there. When in reality,
What did I say to you at that point? Do you remember?
when I said fire me,
Yeah.
I don't, because I remember later on when you said you've moved on from Fire Me, because we had a
I
discussion.
giggled and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that, and I walked out and I closed the outside door.
Yeah, because it was like she knows. Just get the fuck away from him and his
Whatever.
crazy.
Again, it was an issue, but it's not life and death.
I see.
You know, none of this is life and death. We're showing our boobs on a Monday night in a friggin' theater in Hollywood.
No, that's
No
the
one is
royal
dying
we.
of
I'm not
hunger.
doing that.
No one is, being held against their will at Guantanamo Bay here. A plane did not crash into it and we're all dying. In the big picture of things, these were all minor problems.
But those are all things that would improve the show as well. If we were all being held captive in a Guantanamo burlesque bay, or a burlesque plane crashed into the club. Oh my God, these are all perfect ideas. I love it. It's a great idea.
I don't think I charge enough for that.
Our next enemy combatant coming to the stage is known as Anonymous Anonymous. So there were two shows that I worked, and I worked the door, and I performed flawlessly at the second one. The first one is when I had all the problems. We got a bunch of people, and Lily danced twice and was amazing. And then, like I said, hosted and did a very good job at the second show with her hosting. Well, whatever. You can think whatever you want.
My hosting, there was a little,
Do they need to know that? Does anybody need to know there's issues with your hosting?
Well, just like when you go, I would have wished this had happened or I could have been better at that. I mean, everybody wants to always be better.
Yes.
So there were a few things that were rough when I started, and, people saw boobs, so no one was like, oh, she's horrible.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, you weren't horrible.
No, but again, it's Monday night. We're all there having a good time. It's not like they expected George Carlin to come out and introduce women.
Again, something else that makes the show better.
Yes, that would be awesome.
Zombie George Carlin?
Zombie George Carlin show. Oh,
This is so perfect. Look at you improving your show on the fly.
God damn it. Does anyone know how to reanimate a corpse?
Some of the girls could, actually, that we saw the other night.
I don't think that's the same thing. I don't think he'd be talking.
True. So I'm at the Monday Night Teas the other night, working the door, and the show ends. And I wind up in a conversation at the bar with some woman who's a friend of Lily's. And she starts telling me, I'm trying to be polite, all right? And I'm talking to this person, and I know how to hold a conversation. Like, I ask you about you, and, it'd be nice if you asked about me, but who knows, you don't care, whatever. But I asked this chick, and I asked the same question I ask all the girls that are there. I go, are you a burlesque person as well? And she goes, no, I'm not. I'm actually in another adult sex-based industry. And I go, oh, cool. And she's like, yeah, but, I don't like to talk about it because people ask me about it, and it defines me. And I just, I'd rather be a writer. I'd rather be what I am than them having to ask me about this thing that I've done for so long. And so guess who? What? I didn't fucking ask about it because I don't care. I don't care. And I love the fact that she doesn't want to be defined by the thing that literally the first thing out of her mouth was that I work for an adult sex industry. Because she could have very easily said, I'm a writer, and that would have been fine. But no, I work in another adult sex industry. But I wish people didn't define me by it. And as we're talking, she smacked her arm. She goes, yeah, when he came up to me, I was just like, and she smacks her arm, and I go, so I guess you're a dominatrix? And she goes, how did you guess? And I said, well, I mean, if you're hitting people when they walk up to you, that was just my first guess, because I was kidding. And she goes, yeah, I'm a dominatrix. I've been one for a long time, and I've been friends with Lily and Eddie forever. And I said, oh, okay. She never asked me about me. Didn't ask, not a fucking word about who I am. And she's telling me she's a writer. She writes books. She writes technical manuals. She writes all these different things, and she loves it. She's loved it forever. And in my head, because she's going on and on about it, she says she's a writer. So when I hear you're a writer, I think you're expressing yourself in some way. But then she's like, I write these technical manuals, and I've written these presentations for businesses, and I write business plans, and she's going on and all I could think of was the scene in League of Their Own, where the guy on the train is going on and on about his job, and John Lovitz just goes, ha ha, ha ha. If I had your job, I'd kill myself. And he gets up and he walks away. Because if you're a writer, I understand all that, and fine, express yourself, be an artist. But when she's going on and about writing mechanical plans and journals, and I'm just like, oh my God, what a mess, what a mess. No wonder you got to smack guys around in your off hours. But then I start talking to Lily, and I tell Lily about this person. Lily goes, she's not a dominatrix. What are you talking about? I go, she said she was. She goes, no, she's not, as far as I know. I go, well, she's known you forever, right? She goes, no, I've only known her a couple of years. And I go, so was I some sort of weird writing experiment? She goes, I think you were. You probably were. And I go, great. So you would think that would be the one exchange, confrontation, I guess you would say, interaction I had at the Monday Night Teas that I would tell you about. No, folks, there's a second. There are some regulars at the Monday Night Teas, and this regular showed up, and she was bombed. When she arrived for the show, she was in the tank. And to the point where, like, her husband / whatever he is was holding her up. They walk in, they grab a seat, and all show long, she's walking around and she's wobbling and almost falling. So the show ends, and I've had interaction with this person before. She'll ask me to get her a chair, or she's friendly or nice, or both sometimes. So I'm at the bar, sitting there waiting for the show to. Well, show's over, so I'm waiting for the night to end. Music plays and people dance and drink, and I'm there till people go home because I'm the security. Sitting on the stool at the bar, and this girl rumbles up to me because she can't catch herself. Like, literally, she's like the drinking bird, who keeps tipping forward and then bouncing back up.
Yeah, oh yeah, I was there.
So everywhere she goes, she's walking downhill, even on a level surface. Just that, you ever see a baby first start walking, and it takes that one step, and then it takes like 5 steps, and then it falls? That's what she is. But luckily for her, she keeps falling into people or chairs or the bar. So her husband / boyfriend / whatever he is at the bar, and she comes rumbling over to him. And she turns to me at the stool. She goes, "Hey, Mike." And I said, "Hey, hi." I said, "You okay?" She goes, "I'm good. I'm so good. I'm such a good fuck." And I go, "Okay." She goes, "I am. I really am. I will fuck you so good." And I said, "Oh, that's delightful news." She goes, I'm serious. Hold on, Mike. Hold on a second. And she leans forward. And when I say leans forward, because she's stumbling and she's on the bar, but then she turns to lean on me and just grabs an entire handful of my cock. Just jams her hand right into my fucking lap and wham, just grabs the whole package, everything. Like I was a suitcase and she was going to carry me home. And I look at her and she goes, I'm so good at fucking. I would totally fuck you, Mike. I so would fuck you.
I love the voice you gave.
That's what she did.
But that's not how she sounds.
Well, I don't want people to identify her. What if she has a famous show?
This voice.
But the drunk part's all right. Yeah, I would so fuck you. I would so fuck you. I would fuck you so good. I'm endorsed by Tara Patrick. Okay, which made me laugh. Like I almost wanted to get her naked just to see if that was stamped on her ass. I mean, like she's got the blue ribbon from fucking Tara Patrick, porn star. I approve of her fucking abilities. I mean, it was crazy. But she's holding my dick, and I'm sliding backwards, trying to get away from her, and I don't want to shove her off. And also, like I mentioned, it's been a while, for fuck's sake. I almost jumped the fence for fucking clean and sharp. So, just the fact that she looked at me, she's like, "I'll fuck you so good." It's like my cock is like, "Hey, what's going on out here? It's been months." So I have no control over that. And then she's got a handful of it, which, she probably thinks that I'm into it, and I'm not. And I'm scooting back. And every time I scoot back, she's leaning forward and grabbing it again. Literally on her right-hand side is her boyfriend / husband standing there at the bar. She goes, "I would fuck you, Mike. I would fuck you so good. You're so my type. Kiss me, Mike." And I go, I don't think that's going to happen. And she leans forward and just kisses my face. Like she went from my mouth and I turned my face and it started at my cheek and went into my ear like, bleh. And then she gets to my ear and she's like, "I would just, you know what?" And she reaches and presses in my hand her business card. "Call me when you want to fuck me. Anytime in the daytime or at nighttime." But he's so jealous. I said, "Yeah, I would imagine so." She goes, "He's so jealous. He wants me to fuck him, and I won't now because I'm going to fuck you instead." And now I'm sliding back off the stool, and she's leaning. I'm holding her up. Like, literally, my cock is now her cane. And I'm like, all right, well, that's fine. And I scooch back, and she goes, yeah, because I fuck so good. Anytime you want to, you just call me. What are you doing right now? I said, I'm fine. I'm working right now. She goes, we got to your car. Where's your car? I said, I'm fine. And she goes, he's so jealous. I go, really? Because you got a handful of my cock and you want to go out to my car right now? I can't imagine why. And that guy's wearing a fedora. I'm expecting him to fucking turn around like Odd Job and whip it at my fucking head and cut me in half.
Holy fuck!
So I'm looking at him, and I'm looking past her towards him, and he's got his back to us. Like, he knows what's going on because she's been doing it all fucking night. So then Funny Eddie comes over, Eddie the clown, and she comes over, and she's like, oh, Eddie, kiss me, Eddie. And she leans on him, and she finally lets go of my dick. And Eddie's like, no, I'm okay. You don't have to kiss me. And she goes, come on, hey, kiss me. And he goes, no, that's fine. And then she kisses him anyway, like on his chest and on his cheek. So anyway, I told her, I can't wait to fuck you guys. Then she's going to fuck both of us. Can't wait to fuck you guys. And she goes, Mike, anytime you want to fuck me in the daytime, you call me. And gives me another business card.
That's fucking awesome.
I've been endorsed by Tara Patrick. I can fuck so good, Mike. Oh my God, I can fuck so good. I can't wait. You're so my type. And I gotta admit, man, like part of me is going, you should just go fuck this chick just so you can lay down in a bed. Because I sleep sitting up in a chair at my house. I'm like some kind of fucking vampire Archie Bunker. I'm like, at least you'll get to lay down in a bed for a while. Fuck that. Finally, she rumbles into the other fucking room, and Eddie looks at me, and I go, dude, she was holding my dick the entire fucking time. And he's like, she grabbed mine earlier. I'm like, yeah, no kidding. Did you know she's endorsed by Tara Patrick? She fucking smells so good in the daytime. So he and I are talking about it. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And then Lily comes over, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Is she married to this dude, or what's the fucking happening? I guess she wouldn't let go of my cock. And Lily's like, should have fucked her.
I was like, why not?
And I'm like, how desperate do you think I am, man? I mean, no offense. This girl was pleasant, crazy drunk. And then we're talking, and then Lily goes off, and I look into the front bar. And do you remember I mentioned earlier about that little hot girl in the fucking shorts who looked at me and made eye contact and was like, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. We look out by the front bar, and this girl is holding that girl like in a bear hug and kissing her face.
Oh no.
And I'm like, oh, dude. I go, wait. So I guess I've sort of kissed her transitively by the, like, I guess my cheek kissed that girl. I don't fucking know. This is brutal. God damn it.
But you didn't fuck her.
Who, I didn't?
Yeah.
Fuck no, I didn't.
Oh,
And then Eddie sent me a text the next day. He's like, what was she, a spinner? No, sir.
That made me laugh.
Not interested.
Oh, that made me laugh.
I can't even imagine, because she's there every week. She comes to the show every week
It's gonna be interesting.
with her husband/boyfriend guy.
They're partners.
Whatever.
They may have benefits, but I don't think they're actually together.
Well, but he wasn't going to be thrilled about that at all, because he's so jealous. Because even Mike, if you're so my type, I'll fuck you in the daytime. Because Tara Patrick said I'm so good at it. I'm so good at fucking. Oh, I can't wait to fuck you at Eddie. I'm so good at it. Oh, I'm so good at it. Tara Patrick endorsed me. Here's my card. Anytime you want to fuck me in the daytime, you call me anytime. Where's your car? He's so jealous. Do you want to fuck me? Because you're so... Kiss me, Mike. It's just like, man... no matter how hard you hold onto that door knocker, I'm not opening that door.
God, I wish I'd have been there for that.
Sure you do.
Oh, I do, because I would have just stood there and laughed.
Yeah, it's
watching
hilarious.
you be like, I'm being molested.
Yeah, could we get the kung fu grip off of me if it's possible? So she had a fucking fistful of dollars, and I finally chased her away. But the show was great. Both shows are real good. Holly Rocket went to work at both shows, and it was fun. Prita Butte was there, and it was great. It was a good show. This coming week at the Monday Night Tease is that I can't even wait to see her. Like, I mean, literally, it's going to be... First of all, she's not going to remember one fucking thing about it at all. I'm more worried about her husband/partner if he's going to remember anything.
One
But
can hope she's not going to remember it.
I hope she doesn't. Unless she comes in, oh, Mike, I waited by the phone all week. It's the daytime. You're supposed to call me to fuck me. I can't believe it. Oh, you're so good. I'm so good at a fucking right now. You're so my type. And then she said it to you, actually, because you did walk over. And then she goes, I'm what did she say, macking or hitting on? Or what did she say?
But I'm hitting on your door.
I'm hitting on your
He's
doorman.
my type.
He's my
I'm
type.
like- and she goes, is it okay if I have sex with him? And I'm like, well, if it's okay with him, please don't rape him. And
Yeah.
you know.
And she goes, he doesn't have sex with the drunk girls. If you weren't so drunk, maybe it'd be a different
I
story.
think I just said, if you weren't so drunk,
Yeah.
you might score.
And I'm going, no.
I wanted to give her hope to be so.
And her husband / partner's at the bar just seething, sharpening the razor's edge on his fucking fedora to cut my head off. Oh, odd job. You think that's an odd job? Fucking her would be an odd job. While her husband watches, yay. Yay. Nah, not for me. No. So this week
Yeah.
at the Monday Night Teas, I unfortunately, it turns out I will not be there this week because my trip to Aspen, I don't get back. I didn't book my flight because, again, I'm somebody's son. So as their child, I had to do whatever they said, and they've got me coming back at 8:45 on Monday night, which means I will not get to the club on time, and I apologize. I might stop in, but who's there this week? Who's hosting? What's happening? What's going
The
on?
bank robber is hosting.
He should be hosting every week.
Nikita Bitch Project is performing.
I'm a fan.
Jezebel Thunder is performing.
I'm not really a fan of Nikita Bitch Project anymore, I'll be honest.
Pretty Boutte is performing.
All right.
Flame Cinders.
Sounds like a good show.
Tito Benito.
I like Tito. I'm a huge fan of Tito's.
And from Las Vegas, Bourbon Rose is in town.
Perhaps I'll get to town just in time to see her.
I hope so.
I hope so too. Yeah, Nikita. All right.
She's lost her shine for you.
Yeah, you know why? Because we got her into that fucking Berlympics bullshit, and she didn't say one word to me. I looked at her at the fucking club, and I go, "Hey, you owe me." And she goes, "Oh yes, oh thank you, sir," and walks away. Oh well, guess I was good enough to get you into the Berlympics, but not good enough to say thanks. Whatever.
I think she said thank you online.
I don't care.
Did you see the latest picture of her?
No,
Oh, that's a thank you to everyone.
I'm done looking at photos. Somebody who's not grateful.
Don't know what you expect.
Grumble, grumble. Because
Maybe she sent you a present as a thank you.
Oh no, I don't. I doubt it. Please.
Sarah Patrick's.
Although she is Japanese, she would know odd job. Tara Patrick approved present. You think so? Oh my God, I can't. I'm gonna so fuck you. I'm so gonna fuck you. I'm so good at it. Tara Patrick approved. Here's my business card. Here's my.
I wanted to use her, but I can't. It's just not right.
I will see what happens Monday. I don't know if I'm gonna get an apology or another fucking sloppy.
I look forward to it.
No, I don't.
do.
Oh, I won't be there Monday. Ha ha.
Forward to
I'll
seeing
give her
how
2
she
weeks to cool
reacts
off.
to you,
I'll give her 2 weeks to cool off.
or how you react to her.
Nikita, it's funny because Nikita, like, you say, I said online, I was like, well, I get to see her naked if we get her into this Berlympics thing. And she's like, I can arrange that. Well then, when?
Monday. Oh, you're not going to be there.
Hey there, Vinny, it's your Uncle Bingo. Time to pay the check. Time to settle up your bar tab. Should be a good show Monday. Hopefully I'll make it in for the end of it at least. That's exciting. We want to remind you guys you can go to Facebook. Is that a reminder? Do I have to remind them that? Yeah. Go to facebook.com/the40year-old-boy and be my friend. While you're there, send me notes and tell me good things. Hey, let's throw a shout out to our friend Andrea. Andrea Wilson from Valley Girl? No, Andrea. She's going to Chicago next week, and she wrote me, and I haven't written her back. I will write her back. But she's like, dude, what kind of pizza do you like in Chicago? And, people write me all the time. My favorite pizza in Chicago is Home Run Inn. I like their thin crust pizza more than any other pizza in Chicago. But if you're going deep dish, you can't go wrong with Gino's East down in the city. And Lou Malnati's is also real good. I like Rosati's too, which is more of a chain joint than a sit-down place. But I'm not hard to please. It's tough to find bad pizza for me in Chicago. But Home Run Inn is my favorite. But if you're for deep dish, go to Gino's East, which is downtown, and it's the original. It's got all the graffiti on the walls, and that's a cool place. It's a nice Chicago vibe, so I would go there. And then Lou Malnati's is fantastic. And then there's just, I think, what's the other joint? Just Gino's? Is that? I don't remember. There's one or two. There's a bunch of fucking places, but I like Home Run Inn. So anyway, and I should just write Andrea a note because this gets me out of typing. How stupid is this? I talk to people. I'm like, I'm like the Pony Express. Like I send a note here and I hope she hears it before she goes, but maybe she'll hear it afterwards. Who knows? Again, this is just out there lurking, but I'll send her a note as well. Whatever. Thanks, Andrea. So be my friend at facebook.com/the40year-old-boy. Go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com and go to the Joe Business page. We got plenty of stuff available for you. We've got artwork prints. Now, hey, folks out there who have ordered artwork prints, let me tell you something. My friend David Hernandez has been deluged with a basement flood, but now that is all rectified, and he has packed up these prints, and he is handing them to me in Aspen. So I will bring them here. Lily and I will sign them, and I will send them off post-haste next week, and you should have them by the end of next week. Thank you so much for all of your patience. We do really appreciate it, and we look forward to sending them and hoping you like them. Go to the Joe Business page. You can buy artwork like these other people just did. You can buy mugs from Zazzle.com for a while. You can get earbuds from tweakedaudio.com/40. Those are always available. You can get the For the Life of Schmitty single from the interlude. You can get the Schmitty Comes Alive $5 download, which was the show I did at the Los Angeles Podcast Festival next week. Hey, let's talk about that for just a second. Folks, you've written me and you've asked me if I'm doing the Los Angeles Podcast Festival. You've been nice enough to write the Los Angeles Podcast Festival on my behalf to inquire. I am here to tell you that I will not be appearing at the Los Angeles Podcast Festival this year. I was told that this week. They also said that they're in flux and there's a possibility, but they also said it was solidly booked. I have no idea. But the bottom line is it's 99% that I won't be there. But thank you so much for asking, and thank you so much for your support in trying to get me there. Remember, at the Joe Business page, you guys can get the year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and year 5 download sets individually. Or you can buy the UN of Evil box set, which is all 5 years for the price of 4. You get the Evil Dentist, the Woj, the Jimmy O, the Mex, and the Schmitty. And also you can donate to the show in the upper left-hand corner of every page of MikeSchmidtComedy.com. You can sign up for $2 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month, or $25 a month, or a one-time donation is always appreciated. Thank you so much. And again, I will start mentioning people once I can, because, I'm far too busy telling you about James Gandolfini in the moment. And he would hate this show. Or, actually, Gandolfini might like it. Nah, maybe he wouldn't. But Tony Soprano would totally hate this show. Because of that fucking quote right from the pilot where he's like, hey, man, what happened to Gary Cooper? People are fucking silent and did their business. Nobody talked about dysfunctional this and dysfunctional fucking that. Everybody wants to fucking bleat and talk about their lives. What, stay quiet and do your job. So Tony would fucking ruin this show. God, would he hate it. All right, well, that's terrible news. What a terrible thing for me to say about myself. By the way, this guy who didn't exist, that I'm worried about him not liking my show. So again, at MikeSchmidtComedy.com, again, there's all that stuff there. Like I said, earbuds from tweakedaudio.com/40. And I mentioned everything else. So please, while you're there, pick something up. Oh, and there's a few t-shirts left too. And hey, I was going to write a blog, wasn't I? I will. I promise. I swear. And I should plug this too. I'm on the Comedy Film Nerds podcast this week. 2 episodes, actually. There's an episode out right now that you can get of me, and we discuss the week in movies. Talk about Man of Steel, which I saw, and then we talk about some other movies and some DVD releases, and we just have some general fun. My mouth got stuck there. But of greater concern to you and also to me, I did the Man of Steel spoiler episode. So we did an entire show about Man of Steel. I saw it myself at the ArcLight last week, and then I actually saw it in Palm Springs with Graham and Chris sitting right next to me. And the funny thing is, we walked out of that show, and they were kind of talking back and forth, discussing the movie. Well, what'd you think of this? What'd you think of that? What'd you think of this? And I wasn't saying anything at all. And finally, Graham looks at me and goes, what'd you think? And I said, we'll talk about it Tuesday on the show. And he's like, no, yeah, well, at least tell me what you thought. And I said, well, I heard you guys talk, and I kind of agree with some of the stuff you said, but we can talk about it Tuesday on the show. And Graham's like, no, dude, what did you think of the movie? And it's funny, my friend Pat did the same thing, okay? I saw it at midnight, right when it opened, and Pat was seeing it Friday, and Pat sent me a text. He's like, I need a number. What do you think, 1 to 10? I said, I'm happy to discuss this once you've seen the film. And he's like, no, you got to tell me what you thought. I said, I will talk about this as soon as you've seen the film, and we can talk about it for hours and hours. Because I don't want to spoil anything. I don't want to ruin anything. I don't want to taint anybody's opinion. And then Pat finally calls me. He's like, look, we got to talk about this, man. And I go, you really want to do this? And he goes, yeah. And I said, okay. And then I told him what I thought. And then he saw it that night, and he put up his review on popculturebeast.com. And then when I saw it with Graham and Chris the next night, they were like, what do you think? And I go, do you really want to do this here in the parking lot of the movie theater? And they go, yeah. And so then I told them what I thought. And they're like, oh, Tuesday's show's going to be awesome. I said, I hope so. So we recorded the show on Tuesday. We recorded the regular show, which is available now, and we recorded the spoiler episode of The Man of Steel, which is out tomorrow night, I think, or tonight, which is Thursday, because I'm recording this on Wednesday. So they're releasing that on Thursday night, and then please don't hesitate to write me and tell me how wrong I am or how right I am, and let me know exactly what you thought of Man of Steel. Here's what I'm going to tell you. When I saw Man of Steel, I saw it in a full theater. And then afterwards, I was mingling with people, and there were people in Superman costumes and Superman shirts. And the best part was there were some people who might not have enjoyed the movie, and they were being mean to the guy in the Superman costume like he wrote it or created it. They were giving him a rash of shit, and they're talking to him in the hallway, and he's just kind of looking at him. And my favorite part is the look on his face, because it was like a squinty eye look, and I couldn't decide whether he was trying to conjure up his heat vision to burn them to cinders, or he was actually genuinely puzzled by the fact that they thought the guy in underoos had anything to do with the making of the movie they just watched. Because they were busting his balls and they're giving him shit, and he's walking around in a cape. His cape is flailing, and he's in fucking socks, and they're just walking around following behind him, giving him shit. And then there were people who loved the movie who are arguing with them, and it's going back and forth. And poor Superman in his fucking outfit is just standing there like, hey, I just want to drive home and get out of this stupid outfit at fucking 3 a.m. You hated it, you liked it, that's fine. I'm not fucking Superman. This is truly the first case in history of Superman wanting to find a phone booth to duck into to change back into Clark Kent. The look on his face was priceless. These guys fucking followed him. They were giving him a hard time. Other people were supporting him. He's just like, leave me the fuck alone. I'm human lunch meat. I'm nobody. I'm baloney in pants. God damn it. Why do I think I'm somebody special? Why do I think I'm anybody interesting? I'm not. All I bring to the table is everything that everybody else does, but louder. Don't hit snooze on me, motherfucker. I am a hilarious noise machine. I'm going to tell you this. You need to sit down and reevaluate your life if you can pull 2 midget Indian wrestlers out of your skull at any time. You know what? I don't even need you people here. Seriously, I do this. I love me. I don't give a fuck what you think, how you think. God damn it, I'm the greatest. I can't go for Schmidt. No, no. No can do. 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 No can do.